Q patriots around the world uniting. Q school, bringing the sauce through studying their daily Q codes. Q drops, deltas, Q proofs. Where we go, on we go. All Q patriots are friends, we are bringing down the cabal. I'm singing proud Q worldwide. Where we go, on we go. All niggas like code crackers up at Qschqql. Bring the daily rap fire news, Q sauce. News unlocks the map. But with Qschqql patriots, trust the chief plan. He's school worldwide. Qschqql patriots, remember we go, on we go. All.
Hello, friends. Show number 3 in 2 days. We did a little special episode last night on the radio show KSCO. Shout out to them and Santa Cruz. That was really fun. Ginni and Kelly Powers. Hopefully, y'all got to catch some of that. We streamed it here last night. It actually looked pretty good. I got to watch about half of it. A lot of people on the mic, so we didn't get to share too much. I know Tim was chomping at the bit to share some things, but I think we did a great job, and everyone congratulated us on the Telegram channel. So pretty exciting to be back. Thank you guys for all the love and support. We love doing this, and we love connecting with all the friends and family. So good to be back.
Yeah, it is fun to be back. Good to be back. I'm a little bit delayed on my end. I'm trying to stream into the Qschqql channel. If anybody is trying to get into the Qschqql Telegram channel, we've diverted it. I'm going to be streaming live from the Hammer Time channel. I'm just waiting for my computer to upload. But anyway, I'm looking forward to another great show today. Today's title is Justice Coming. When? We don't know, but we're going to discuss a lot of that today. And we've got Dave X22 report lined up for you guys. He's so over the target, just like Qschqql is. And there's a lot of similarities between yesterday's show and his show. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Plus, we've got the boss coming on live from the White House in and around, well, it says 3 o'clock, but it's probably 3:17, just saying. They're going to be sitting around the round table talking about Antifa. So this should be a pretty exciting Qschqql. Melzie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what's going on, especially with what's going on with POTUS. Hi, Matthew.
Matthew got the buzz cut. He got the shaggy cleaned up.
Wash.
Yeah, wash. Yes, wash.
Wash, yeah.
You know what? Remember the old days when you used to say Q and Trump? Can you say Trump? Say Trump.
Trump.
Attaboy. Can you say Q?
Oh.
Say Q for our friends. Q. Good job. There we go. Go ahead, Melzie.
Yeah, okay, so I think last night was so much fun. I hope everybody got a chance to see it. If you didn't, check it out. It was great questions that they asked. And
always great questions.
It was really, I think a lot of people, I wish we could have more people from their audience calling in and telling us what was going on. And with them, like where are they at? But I think they asked great questions so that we represented the Q community the best we could. And you did a great job, Kyle, explaining so much on it. You're so quick on all that.
Yeah, but you guys all had great perspectives, and I think we just weaved perfectly. Even other people have said great comments just about how we do our show here together. It's not about any one person. We all, love each other and want to hear everyone's perspectives. And I said that from a long time, and that was what made Qschqql special, is that all the different perspectives and opinions and ideas. Or I loved it too when a new person comes in and would ask a question. This one always still resonates in my mind is there's a Q drop talking about like Gloria Vanderbilt, and it says A. Cooper. And it's pretty obvious they're certainly talking about Anderson Cooper, but this is what I talk about, where people get in the groupthink mind, like, oh, that's been decoded. That's Anderson Cooper. Well, why didn't it say Anderson Cooper? It says A. Cooper. And it was very early on in Qschqql days when Tim had started on Telegram on the voice chat. We weren't even sharing the screen. We were just doing the drops. And a brand new person said Alice Cooper. And then sure enough, people are like, no, it's Anderson Cooper. I'm like, whoa, that's a really interesting answer. I thought was Alice Cooper. And fast forward, we start looking into Pentaveret and other things like that. And sure enough, Alice Cooper's manager. Look at Tim's got it streaming all live. Oh, the big screen. Let's go. That's what we're going to do. What's that?
$1 billion baby. I remember you telling me that and then looking into who Alice Cooper was, and it really blew my mind. Like, I can't believe how in your face it was. And for someone that is so celebrated in the rock world, I thought he was a great guy. And some people even say, oh, he's a Christian. And, I don't know that Christian behavior acts like that. So it just opened my eyes. And so just think about that little comment of, Alice Cooper, it It opened my eyes,
Yeah,
and I
open.
bet it opened others. So there's no stupid question on Qschqql.
Exactly. Thank you for adding all that insight that you picked up from that too, Mel. And to go farther too is specifically as manager, but like kind of what you're talking there, Mel. We spoke about some of this stuff on the radio show last night, like how it's in your face and how they're corrupting us morally through the music and stuff. So that's right on cue. I hate to say cue, they're right on par for that. Those people though, to be quote unquote have this person that's allegedly Christian then doing this other stuff, but then also more importantly, manager is manager is the handler, and that makes a lot of sense too. The music industry, the managers literally they orchestrate who they're going to interview, what sets they're going on, the advertising, all these things. So, anyways, the Pentaveret specifically mentioned basically one of the 5 key players was the manager, which ultimately is the manager that was managing Alice Cooper. So just like everything else, there's puppets and puppet masters. So Alice Cooper likely would have had this talent and then wanted to be famous, sold his soul or what have you, probably born into the cult like many of these others. But then they have a handler that really controls really their branding, which is what they're bringing to the public, right? So then this very carefully crafted message, including subliminal and this these undertones that's right in our face about the Satanism, basically, of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I have to go get Dozer real quick. He's barking.
I think we can. Yeah. Okay. Was that Matthew or Dozer? That's funny. Yeah. Anything else, Tim? And then we'll jump into. We're going to go into X22 report.
Well, all I got for us now is to say hello to everybody on our Qschqql. We're now. I'm not using the Qschqql Rumble to Telegram feed anymore because we're branching out to YouTube now. So we had to remove one of our digital battlefields. So what I'm doing is with my main computer, which I just showed you guys here. I'll show you again, but I've got it set up so I can stream us through the main computer in my living room right into the Qschqql Telegram channel. So welcome everybody that's in Qschqql right now. Telegram, love, love, love.
Cool.
That's what we're going to do going forward, brother. That way we can keep beaming out to YouTube.
That gives us 6 different platforms then. We've only usually have to have 5, so we've been somewhat limited. It was kind of about the amount we needed, but now the extra one, then Tim can, because that's what's cool about Telegram. You could do a live stream basically, and then pipe in or whatever you want to call it to the Rumble. So he's streaming still on Telegram on Qschqql, just going through our Rumble channels feed first. So it'll be a little bit behind, but not much. So that's cool.
Yeah. And actually, that reminds me now. I think starting, I'll probably start tonight after Qschqql wraps up. I'm going to keep running the Qschqql Telegram channel 24/7 like the old days. So I'm going to put it's still going to be the Qschqql channel, but I'm going to put TV in parentheses, and we're going to go back to. I'll keep posting updated news, shows, things like that, including the Qschqql. So. So if you're floating around in Telegram world and you want a place to go and watch some high level information or documentaries or shows, you can go to Qschqql TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll keep it going as long as my computer doesn't go into smoke and fire.
Yeah. It just passed on the bottom. You just missed it, but T.me is the short form of Telegram /Qschqql. So very simple Qschqql, but it's all Q's. So you got to pay attention to find us. So QSCHQQL, and right on Telegram. Tim's going to be streaming other documentaries outside of also having Qschqql on streaming in Telegram too. So if you're all on Telegram, y'all hop over there. If you're kind of bored or you want to see what's going on, Tim's going to be streaming lots of powerful documentaries. Mr. Truth Bomb, X22.
Yep.
Man, you name it, right? LTM, we know.
Red Pill 78. I always play. Yeah, Red Pill 78. Yeah,
greatest show on turf, greatest show on earth, all those amazing documentaries too.
Yep. Yeah, so awesome. I know a lot of people loved it when I did that for almost 2 years, I think, when we took a little hiatus from doing the live Qschqql. So there's a question in the chat, Melzie, YouTube channel. How do they get there? What's the YouTube channel?
Look, excuse me, I'm looking right now, and I'm just going to put it into the ticker so we have it, and then people can have it. It's at MelzieKaye 1086.
How do you spell the K? K-A-Y-E?
K-A-Y-E, yep.
What was that for, Mel?
Say it again.
YouTube. I'm going to type, just give me 1 second. I'll put it on here so you can see it.
MelzieKaye 1086. Is that what
1086,
update that address. That's okay, though. We'll get you in there.
Yeah, we got to call it.
Man of Truth.
overtime.
Man of Truth was watching in from YouTube, and some other people was watching us last night. So shout out to Man of Truth, one of our
Yeah.
fellow VIPs.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun last night. Even after we finished our recording, we went into the Telegram channels and we had a blast with our brothers and sisters on all the different Telegram channels.
It
last
was very some high frequency. It was kind of cool. We all dispersed. We went to different places. Then we all wound up together later on as well. But it was definitely some frequencies going on. I mean, obviously we were amped and people were super excited for us. But there always generally is something going on with the Schumann resonance that correlates with that. We also just had a full moon, so lots of things happening, and it's been good though. So it was fun.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we, just in the interest of time, because we know the boss is going to be coming on between 3:00 and 3:17, which is less than half an hour away, and we got about 20, 23, 24, 25 minutes of X22 reports. So the timing's just about right. As soon as Melzie gets up the YouTube information, we'll go right to Dave X22 report. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Okay. And I'll keep an eye on the White House broadcast. I'll let you know when he comes on. That again, that's a round table. Him and his cabinet talking about Antifa.
Okay. What did you do, Mel? How come we're stacked like this and we don't have like a message on the bottom? That's kind of strange. Is that new? Okay, well, I'm going to go share screen. We're going to go to X22 report for about 17 minutes or so, and then maybe the boss will be coming on too. We'll pop back in here in a minute. So put your feet up, grab some toast or whatever you're eating, popcorn, what have you, and we'll be right back. Love you.
That's very, very interesting. But let's see how this all plays out. I do believe Trump is going to get the peace out in the Middle East, and this is going to decimate the deep state players. Now, the other thing, like we said before, is that we know that Pam Bondi, Cash, Ratcliffe, Noam, and the rest, they are still sifting through their agencies, looking for those people that are not going to follow the rule of law. They're not going to do their jobs. Remember, there are still sleepers within every single one of these agencies. The deep state players have made sure that they've kept these people hidden for when they need them. Amuse put this out and said, the DOJ is filled with Democrat lawyers who are slow-walking prosecutions of fellow Democrats. Interesting. The latest case is Elizabeth Yusi, a career DOJ prosecutor who confided with colleagues that she's waiting a few weeks before she tells Lindsay Halligan that she's not going to prosecute Letitia James for mortgage fraud. So think about it. Everybody wants arrests. Everybody wants prosecutions. Everybody wants all these things. But again, if you don't have the people in the right positions, it cannot be done. We're still in the process of finding out, cleaning out these type of people. And like I said before, how in the world are you going to bring these people to justice when you don't have judges that are following the rule of law? It's not going to work. And when you look at these criminals, you need to show the people that these people are the criminals. That hasn't been done yet. What? We have KOMY? That's it. The people need to see this. The people need to see the hard evidence. And yes, the deep state players, they're going to fight back every step of the way. Remember, the people need time to digest it. You might have been studying it. You might not. You might know all of this. You might understand that all these people are criminals. But when you talk to your family members, when you talk to your friends, when you look at the people around the country, most of the people don't even know this. They don't even, wait, they're criminal? Wait, what would they do? I don't understand. They did something? What? Like, name something. And this is why it has to be brought out into the open. Look what CIA Director John Ratcliffe did. Today, he says, I declassified CIA intelligence regarding Ukraine after determining it is in the public interest. So this newly declassified emails and records show that in 2015, then Vice President Biden told the CIA he would strongly prefer an intelligence report documenting Ukrainian officials' concerns with his family ties to corrupt business deals in the country not be disseminated. And so it wasn't. But now people know that he requested this. Oh, treason. So much for no one is above the law, right? Because that's what they kept repeating. You see, you have to give the people a chance to understand that these people have been lying to them. Yes, they might say, yeah, I think they're lying, but where's the proof? Trump and his team are now providing the proof. The classification of the email was listed and crossed out as secret. CIA officials uncovered and declassified a February 10, 2016 email titled REOVP query regarding draft redacted, which has been sent to the agency. The email directly referred to Biden as VP and included the NSA along with the reference. Biden, as vice president, was running U.S.-Ukraine relations and policy for the Obama administration. So it's reasonable to think that Obama himself was fully aware of not only the report, but also Joe's request to bury it, of course. Even further, is it reasonable to assume that it might have been Obama's decision to hide the information from the public? That would surprise exactly no one. Remember, Obama continually says he had no corruption, he had no scandals in his administration whatsoever. But wait a minute, now this is out there. And we now have the Russian collusion that he knew about. We know about the Alpha Bank hoax that Hillary Clinton paid for. Obama was spying on Trump. So wait a minute, everything that he said is not true. But let's go back to post 4822, October 7, 2020. Interesting delta. Interesting timing. What happens if Biden became POTUS, knowing he, through Hunter Plus One, took massive amounts of bribes to change, look the other way, U.S. policies towards Ukraine in favor of Ukraine? Would Ukraine own and control the White House? Is everyone getting it right now? Yeah, and look what Biden did. Guilty as charged. Nobody is above the law. And I do believe that as Trump continually brings out this information and all the agencies continually put this information out there, the people are going to start to learn. And it started with KOMY, and it's going to spread to all of these people. And it's going to be a lot of people. Remember, this is about bringing these people to justice. And first, Trump now is showing the people who the criminals are, who the treasonous people are. And he knows that they're going to fight back to stop this in the end. And they're going to use Antifa. They're going to use the criminals. They're going to use the illegals. And this is why they're trying to protect them. And what's very interesting is Pam Bondi, she was testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And she came under question by Senator Durbin and others who continually said there's no reason for the National Guard to be in Chicago. And she said the following, and the Rapid Response 47 put this out. It says, your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's 571 homicides last year. So she says, we're here to help America, and we're here to help those people in Illinois, whether or not you want to. So basically, she's letting them know Chicago is a crime-ridden city, and we need to stop the crime there. FBI Director Kash Patel says Chicago will be saved, and this FBI will continue to crush the violent crime there and all around the country, heading to the Windy City now. So basically, during the questioning, Pam Bondi just shut him completely and utterly down. And yes, the Texas National Guard, they're deploying with riot equipment to Chicago. Greg Abbott says the elite Texas National Guard, ever ready, deploying now. And Trump can use the National Guard to protect the federal buildings. And you can see that Pritzker, he's not backing down. They're going to be pushing everything that they have. You can see Brandon, he's not backing down. And also he's stopping the police from assisting the National Guard, assisting ICE and the Border Patrol. And Trump, he's letting everyone know, as soon as this gets out of hand, as soon as the D's, because he's pushing them down this path, as soon as they push the insurrection, and people will see who's actually pushing the insurrection against the United States government and against the people of this country, he will then invoke the Insurrection Act. Eric Doherty put this out and said, wow, President Trump says he's prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act if necessary. I do it if it was necessary. We have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If people were being killed, courts, governors, mayors, holds up, sure, I do that. We have to make sure our cities are safe. Absolutely. Clandestine says, class in session. Trump and his administration are making sure the public see the Dems actively obstructing the enforcement of the law. Why? Because that's the legal requirement to invoke the Insurrection Act. And the Supreme Court will overrule the rogue judges. And he's absolutely right. And to take this a step further, he's going to have to say, listen, please go home peacefully and patriotically. Do not do this. As soon as they don't and they continue on, he can then say it's an insurrection. Just like January 6th, that was an insurrection by the deep state players, but they used we the people to cover up their insurrection. This time around, Trump is going to shine the spotlight on the true insurrectionists of this country. And then you can go back in time and say, who actually had the insurrection on January 6th? Oh, it was the deep state players. It's the same group of people. Let's go back to post 4360, May 30th, 2020. Insurrection Act of 1807. Determination that the various state and local authorities are not up to task of responding to the growing unrest.
Call the ball, baby.
The ball. So, very interestingly, this post was made on May 30th, 2020. Are we going to see this happen during the summer months of 2026, leading up to the midterms? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see how this all plays out. And what's very interesting is we know that Kash Patel right now, he is severing all ties to the SPLC, the ADL, and you can see these organizations, they're panicking over all of this. Colin Rugg put this out and said, FBI Director Kash Patel says ADL lobbyists called in a panic when they found out that the FBI was cutting ties with them. One word got out that I was about to kick the ADL out. Do you know who called this building? The lobbyists, Kash says, for ADL, begging for a phone call. And I said no. That's how I knew they were in the wrong the entire time. And we proved it. Absolutely. And you know what else just came out? It came out that Jack Smith was using Arctic frost to spy on 8 Senate colleagues. Chuck Grassley put this out and said, the document shows the Biden FBI spied on 8 of my Republican Senate colleagues during its Arctic frost investigation into election conspiracy. Arctic frost later became Jack Smith's elector case against Trump. Biden FBI weaponization equals worse than Watergate. Interesting, isn't it? So according to the documents released earlier this year, the FBI DOJ weaponized their power to target President Trump, former Vice President Mike Pence, and their allies through a probe dubbed Arctic Frost. Operation Arctic Frost was a taxpayer-funded witch hunt launched in April 2022 that seized government-issued cell phones belonging to Trump and Pence while conducting a barrage of interviews across the country. Now we know Jack Smith tracked the private phone calls of 8 GOP senators, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Josh Hawley of Missouri, Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. The Biden regime also spied on GOP Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. Following the news, Patel vowed to end the abuse of power. This is what Kash Patel put out. Transparency is important and accountability is critical. We promise both, and this is what promises kept look like. This FBI is delivering. As a result of our latest disclosure about the baseless monitoring of members of Congress by the prior leadership team of the FBI, we have already taken the following actions. We terminated employees, we abolished the weaponized CR-15 squad, and we initiated an ongoing investigation with more accountability measures ahead. Then he put this out. They tracked the communications of GOP senators. They weaponized law enforcement against the American people. The era is over. We fired those who acted unethically, dismantled this corrupt CR-15 squad, and launched an investigation. Transparency and accountability aren't slogans. They're promises kept. He's shutting it all down now. So step by step, as the evidence comes out, the director of the FBI can shut down what happened, get rid of those people that did all of this. And the public sees it firsthand. Hans put this out and said, Democratic operatives in the FBI just got caught running a massive surveillance operation against GOP senators. And now the GOP leader is calling for Senate committees to get to the bottom of it. It's a pitiful display of ineffectiveness. Meanwhile, when it's Democrats' turn, they don't wait for abuses to happen. They fabricate them, skip the endless committees and hearings, and go straight to early morning raids and jailing innocent people. The difference in how power is wielded is staggering. Well, I do believe that we follow the rule of law. We don't do things for show. And in the end, we will have accountability by following the rule of law. You have to remember the D's, they do everything for show. They have no evidence. They have nothing. And that's why they need the show. Do we, the people, need the show? No, we need justice. We need real accountability. That is the difference. Clandestine put this out and said, we now have proof Biden's FBI spied on top Republican senators. Most people don't understand just how severe our situation is. We are under attack from within. The Dems went full-blown Orwellian police state, and they're willing to burn this nation to the ground to cover it up. And that is absolutely true. Paul Sperry says, FBI sources say Christopher Wray had a sign off on the spying on GOP senators, along with Biden's AG Garland, since any investigation involving elected officials is a SIM case requiring their approval. Also, a one-page predication is extremely rare, especially since targeting senators. So I think they need to bring in Garland. They need to bring in Wray. And maybe even Biden knows something. This is all falling apart for them. And what are people seeing? They're seeing that these people were treasonous to this country. They were spying on senators. Now, think about it. This is just the beginning. This is the introduction. Because you have to remember, Trump says they were spying on him. So let's see, they're spying on senators, they're spying on Trump. What are people witnessing right now? The crime of the century. C3 says, want your blood to boil? The Jack Smith investigation cost taxpayers over $50 million, all based on a scam to target their enemies, with 70% of the $50 million paying their salaries. Think about that. The Jack Smith investigation got rich for sedition. Sick. Absolutely. Trumpy says deranged Jack Smith got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. A real sleazebag. Now think about it. If they can spy on senators, they can spy on Trump, they can create Russia. Hillary Clinton can pay for the Alpha Bank hoax, and Obama knew about all of this, and they've been trying to stop Trump with all the impeachments and everything else. Is it really that far-fetched to believe that these people can then rig an election and set up an insurrection on January 6th to overthrow the United States government? No, this is where all this is leading. You see what Trump is doing here? You see what his team is doing? He's building this up to bring us to that point. Abe Hamadeh says, they spied on congressmen and senators, and you still don't think they would steal an election? He's absolutely right. And once again, you could see that this is about showing the people the truth and showing everyone what has happened here. Because again, they're going to try to cover all this up. They're going to try to spin all of it. And as they lie, it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And you can see that Trump, he's using everything that the deep state is doing right now, the shutdown. Remember, the deep state players thought, oh, if we shut down the government, the people of this country would suffer. They're not going to get their government benefits. They'll rise up against Trump and they'll be pissed off at him. But think about what Trump has done. He's created a parallel economic system. That's the tariff system. It's not just a tariff system. It's an energy system. It's a gold card system. It's a technology system, all wrapped up into one. The money that he's bringing in externally counters what the deep state players are trying to do. Think about that for a second. Without the system that he created, he wouldn't be able to counter the shutdown. The only reason we need a shutdown is because we borrow currency from the Federal Reserve. We hit a certain point where we say, okay, let's raise the debt ceiling. We need more money. We need to borrow. With an external revenue system, we don't need that. And look what Trump is about to do. He's going to use the tariff money to pay for the WIC program for the most vulnerable women and children. So this way, the shutdown doesn't affect them, which means he is using the parallel economic system to pay for the government operation. And when his system is built fully operational, it will compete against the Federal Reserve, which means we will not need to borrow currency from the Federal Reserve. And while the government is shut down, what is Trump doing? He's cleaning house. The Patriot Oasis put this out and said, Trump reveals that he is planning on cleaning house. Question was asked to him, how many permanent jobs are you talking about to eliminate? Trump says, if this keeps going on, it'll be substantial. You're going to be a lot closer to a balanced budget, actually. And he says, listen, I'll be able to tell you in about 4 or 5 days, if this keeps going on, what we're going to do. So he wants to see what the D's are going to do. He wants to see how far they're going to take this. And I do believe that if it goes past the 10 days, I do believe Trump and team, they're going to start laying off a lot of people. And I do believe the magic number, I think, is 61, where once we hit 61, these people can be removed permanently. And every case to bring these people back on has to be analyzed. And I do believe Trump has the ability to cut these people out of these different agencies for one reason or another. So I do believe in the end, we're going to see Trump scale down the government because once again, I do believe in the end, his main objective is to get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of the Internal Revenue Service, and move us to his parallel economic system, which is made up of tariffs, energy sales, gold card sales, technology sales, and all the external revenue that you can ever imagine. And remember, when he brings in the external revenue, he's not creating currency, which means there'll be no inflation. You see, the central bank, when we borrow currency from the central bank, it creates brand new currency out of thin air, which adds to the currency that's already in circulation, which means it dilutes it, which means it devalues the currency, and that's what they call inflation. So by using the External Revenue Service, he's just bringing all the currency that was pushed out of this country into other countries back to this country. And there's no new currency created, which means there's no inflation, which means if the external revenue is coming into this country, we don't need, or the government, the Federal Reserve, doesn't need to take the currency internally, which means we don't need the IRS. See where all this is headed? I do believe this is why Trump, in the end, needs the House and the Senate, because if we're going to take this to the next step, he needs complete and utter control, and we need a certain ability to pass certain laws to remove everything the deep state players have set up over time. And we see, as of right now, Biden and the deep state players, they use the 2020 census to manipulate the seats. So this way they would have control. Peter Bernegger put this out and said, the 2020 census was manipulated via a secret algorithm, shifting populations, miscounting 14 states, inflating Democratic power. This isn't an error, it's fraud. Per the Center for Renewing American Study, even Harvard agrees. The 14 states listed below, plausible Republicans got screwed out of 5 seats. Obama-era bureaucrats manipulated the census with an algorithm that secretly shifted population data so drastically that even Harvard admits it produced unconstitutional results.
Wow.
Indiana U.S. Senator Banks said the 2020 census
Crazy,
was a fraud.
eh?
The Biden admin
Wow.
used a shady piracy formula.
You want to add anything else about that, or let it keep going?
Well, I'm really excited. Like, I love the direction he's going, because that's what we've been talking about a lot here on Qschqql, specifically for at least the last 2 months, and where we're heading towards the midterm election of next year. And Dave is over the target as usual. And it makes sense. It's, when you think logically, we've always said that the slate's got to be cleaned and the door needs to be open for us, we the people, to take our power back. And one sure way of doing that is a combination of the military and the Trump administration doing the heavy lifting, taking out and wiping out the cabal, all the deep staters, which we're seeing unfold before our very eyes, one domino at a time. I know it's, some people are losing patience in this, but we are progressing forward. And the only way we're going to get out of this mess is obviously with the help of the military and the Trump administration, and we the people coming together, unifying and fighting for our rights and for our sovereignty and taking power back. And we do that through free and fair elections, because they're cleaning up all the systems, all the voter rolls, all the machines, all the mail-in voting. You're getting redistricting maps happening before our very eyes. I mean, Trump, don't forget, he posted, what was it, about 2 months ago now, Kyle? Time's flying by, but remember he said 100 seats, man. We're talking 100 seats to the Republicans, too.
Yeah.
America First Republicans, by the way, not the Rhino ones, because the Rhinos are either going to be resignating, stepping down, or they're going to be taken out through their corruption, through the conspiracy charges and case that's going on right now. So that's all I wanted to add. I'm just excited. I'm excited for everybody, especially in the United States of America. You guys are going to be taking her back, rightfully so, having your power back.
Yeah, he also said something that clicked for me too about the justice. We know there's the Q post too, that the wheels of justice turn slowly and everything has to be done by the book, right? The White Hats aren't going to do anything nefarious, and we'll use deception to trick and trap people and do this movie playing out. But as far as legally, they're not going to do anything sinister or shady. Has to follow it by the book. And it made a lot of sense that they say the Democrats, all they do is for show, right? They arrest someone even if they know the charges are going to get dropped. It's creating this narrative. It's this what's it called? Kabuki theater. Kabuki. There's Kabuki theater. It's just and then getting these sound bites, all this shit, but there's nothing there to it. So that he said they have to do it that way, which they go in quickly, but it's all just for show. So, but real justice takes time, and it's going to happen at the perfect moment, divine timing. And this is part of has been slowly leaked out and continuing to seed the consciousness that this is happening. Nobody's above the law, and if you disobey the law, you're going to be arrested and you're going to be prosecuted. And if you committed treason, that's going to be a problem for you too. So yeah, and that was a big one.
Also add on to that, and just a fresh reminder for anybody, maybe you're kind of new to our Q School. What we've been talking about is helping paint the picture and how you can become involved in this. And we always encourage everybody, if you're a U.S. citizen, it is your God-given right to vote. Number one, minimum. But number two, you can also run for positions in your local communities, or at the very least, volunteer to be part of the election process. Become a poll counter, whatever different positions they have. Volunteer time, and a lot of positions are paid positions too, so you can make a few extra bucks on the side while saving your country. But what I was going to say, Kyle, is knowing in advance, based on the original Constitution, if there's 2/3 majority in the House and 2/3 majority in the Senate, you can re-amend the Constitution. If there's only a majority in the House but 2/3 in the Senate, you can impeach every single corrupt judge that's in the system. That's how you take them out. You do it through impeachment. That's according to the law. But you need minimum 2/3 in the Senate. So we need 60. What do we need? Minimum 60 votes in the Senate. So we need to get the supermajority would be 60 plus, right? 61.
Well, 2/3 should be 67, I think, or Senate.
Yeah, the Senate. Yeah.
Senate would probably be 67 would be 2/3 of 100.
Okay, that's what they're targeting then. So the real supermajority would be the 2/3 in the House and 2/3 in the Senate. All of Trump's executive orders can be now turned into law immediately, like this, right? So his EO and Q says follow this EOs, right?
Yeah.
Now if they become the laws of the future, the next 250 years for the United States of America. The timing is beautiful, because that midterm election next year, which happens on 11.3, just so you know, many 11.3s in the Q drops. That's November
3rd. 2026 election is November 3rd again, 11.3.
Yeah, so I just want you guys to paint your own picture, visualize what it would be like for we the people getting our power back in the House and in the Senate, according to the law. The law of the land is the original Constitution, the Bill of Rights, right? And what they can do with that supermajority, or we call it the red tsunami in the Q drops. We did this dig about 3 weeks ago, Kyle. We'll have to redo it. We're gonna do that in time. We'll refresh in everybody's memories on this. But just imagine what it would be like if we do our job. The white hats in the military, the Trump administration is doing their job, the heavy lifting. We come right in behind because the road's being paved for us. Okay, like just picture the new fresh pavement coming onto that road for we the people to march along and take all these different positions in your communities. And if you want to run for Senate or mayor or governor or a House representative, by all means go for it. There's a lot of and really what I'm noticing, Kyle, is there's a trend, and Melzie, that a lot of these ex-military people, male and female, are getting involved in the elections. So when Q says military is the only way, there's multiple meanings in that. You're getting some previous military, people that have stepped into the political arena and they want to do what's right for the country. And that, to me, that just gives me chills. So if we get that supermajority next year in the midterm election, we get all the new rules, all the new bills. We re-amend the Constitution, get all of the quackery out of it that the Democrats, when they slid and slivered their way through this over the last several decades, and change this and change that, because they were trying to, what they were doing is it was like a death by 1,000 cuts. That's what they were trying to do.
Constitution, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in order to get back toward the founding fathers had originally set forth for the United States of America, we need to go back to make it good again. And Q says sometimes you have to go back in order to see your future. So to me, it just makes so much sense. And I love how Dave is explaining it, because it does make sense. You think logically about it. And we're seeing a beautiful uprising, like part of the Great Awakening, exponentially growing, not only in the United States, but all over the world, because the whole world's watching right now. And they get it too. And we have patriots in other countries that are standing up for their rights, for their sovereignty, for, they're done. I mean, we're up to here with all their bullshit. I mean, we're done with the corrupt regime.
We're done with this shit. Just like Pete Hexter said, we're done with this shit.
Yeah.
Jay
So, but it
in the house. What up, brother?
Yeah. But it has to be done right. It has to be done according to the law. And that's why it's been taking so long. But Dave explained it well. If you want to finish off what Dave had left, I think there's a little bit more time.
Yeah, a couple more minutes left. We'll go
and
back.
I'd like to get Melzie thoughts on the financial part that he's talking about. He's doing that workaround with the tariffs and everything. It's amazing.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel, do you want to talk about that real quick, about the WIC program and using the tariffs to maybe help people understand that a little bit?
Yeah, so the Democrats, and it's a really big deal because the Democrats were saying, we're going to shut it down, and you're not going to be getting your food stamps, and that's really important because there's a lot.
And that's what WIC is, right? WIC stands for. Okay.
I don't know what it stands for, but it it's
aid.
It's aid for people that are really in need for it, I believe, and I'm sure there's people that maybe shouldn't be on it, but that's not
food
the
stamps and
topic.
welfare and stuff.
Is it women in crisis or something like that?
Yeah, it's for, I think, women with children that get.
Or women.
And then they also, I think, maybe get health care too for the kids. And so that was in jeopardy. Can you imagine that they were like saying, okay, we need health care for these illegal immigrants here that we brought in treasonously, but you're not going to get your food stamps, and we don't care enough about you because you were born here. That's absolutely obscene, And so Trump, they were using that kind of power of the people to get panicked, I believe, and have fear, because for them it's detrimental to lose that. So Trump took the money from the tariffs, and he's going to use that for the WIC program.
17 trillion. So I'm just saying 17 trillion so far.
I didn't know that.
That's investment. So there's multiple different amounts of revenue streams coming in. So people understand 17 trillion in new investments coming into the United States. That's from tariffs, not actually the money of tariffs, but actually that these companies are having to pay so much more money to have their product or their whatever they're selling in the United States because it would be tariffed. So it's more beneficial to them financially to have their operations back in the United States. And that's what that video that shared 22 times that we've showed a handful of times, Trump giving the speech. And he's talking about our previous presidents and politicians that sold our country out. And then the jobs went to China and Canada and Russia and all these different places. So just by using that tariffs alone has driven this massive amount of influx of business back into the United States. So that's $17 trillion of investments that's going to be coming back in just from other outside companies or corporations that maybe even started in the United States but left. And that's why Detroit and some of these blue collar communities got destroyed because all the jobs left and then they just got decimated and no one cared. They just left them behind because politicians don't give a F about anybody else. They got money in their pocket. They don't care. So that's what Trump is doing. He's always fighting for Americans first. That's what America first means. If you put American citizens first, if you put legal immigrants ahead of illegal immigrants, right? It's just these illegal immigrants are just cutting the line of people that are following the law and coming to the country how they're supposed to. It also is a major strain on your minority communities and other stuff like this, and that lowers the pay that people can get. That's the reason why wages have not gone up over all these years, but rent has exponentially increased. That's why people have to work 2 jobs for half as much as they used to, and the rent is all their money. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So there's a lot of things moving. It's going to be really the golden era. And then on top of that then is the tariffs are bringing in this massive amount of revenue. And he says, we don't even need the government to do this and pay back this loan. We're just going to fund it with outside, again, the companies are outside countries that want to do business in the United States because the American dollar and the American economy is the biggest thing there is in the world, right? If you look at the GDP, it's bigger than all those states in the European Union and all those things, or all those countries combined. The American taxpayers and the American dollar and system economy is the prize of the world. And Trump has used that as leverage to now bring jobs back to the United States. And then we're going to have these programs funded by the tariffs that we don't even need to use the government for that. So
Beautiful.
It's going to be really interesting to watch it all play out.
It is. Well said. It's beautiful. And thanks, Jedi, for clearing up the WIC for us. Women, infants, and children. Love, love, love. Great digging in the background, you guys. Yeah, I mean, like the future, I mean, this is why we're all fighting, right? I mean, if you analyze everything that we've been through, gone through, you know, we've lost friends, family members, all kinds of things going on in each one of our lives. And yeah, the stories are horrific in many cases, but we made it this far. I was saying last night, late last night on the Telegram channels with our fam jam over there. You know, we need to keep holding the line and keep pushing forward and staying on mission because we're getting so much closer to the end, and the end is for them, and the new beginning is for us. We the people and our children, our grandchildren, great grandchildren, and such. And it has to be done according to the law. It has to be done right, like we just said earlier. And again, referring back to what Dave X22 report has been, especially I've noticed, you know, his terminology and his decoding and stuff, his shows, basically daily shows. He has been talking a lot about the upcoming midterm elections, which is something I've been doing for a couple of months now. Melzie and Kyle know that. And then like it just, when you start connecting all these dots and you bring everything into play and you listen to what Trump's saying, what his administration has been saying or posting or whatever, then you read the Q drops, you know, especially the ones about the Constitution, and you start putting these pieces together and you're seeing it unfold before your very eyes. And the only way we're going to get there and take our power back is if the military and Trump version 2 does the heavy lifting and cleans out and makes it a free and fair election with paper ballot and voter ID. I mean, it's that simple. And Trump's been saying that since Trump version 1. You remember all the Trump rallies? He always said it. We got to go to paper ballots. We got to go to paper ballots. Well, that's what we're going to have next year, you guys. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be magical. And you're all going to be part of it. Can't wait. I can't wait to see it unfold.
Can't wait, indeed. Absolutely. Mel found us a little short clip about this. It's only 15 seconds, so let's see what Trump, or if it's on Fox here. Let's take a look at it real quick.
As promised, breaking moments ago, more than $200 billion coming into the coffers in tariffs, and now we're learning where some of that money will go. The White House has just announced that the Women and Children Food Program will not be cut off while the government is shut down. Some of the money As promised, breaking moments ago, more than 200 billion.
Yeah, so there you go, $200 billion in revenue just from the tariffs. That's what we're talking about. So again, 17 trillion in new investments coming to the United States. That's going to grow jobs, economy, plus. But now we have tariffs also bringing in billions of dollars that will be able to disperse at their disposal, and what they see need fit or see to be need and met. And what a beautiful thing to do is take care
and
of
cutting all the funding, right? The Doge stuff, like chopping all the heads off of the middle grind, the big snakes, the middle snakes, and now the little snakes. They're all getting they're getting their legs chopped off, their heads cut off, funding wise. So the U.S. taxpayers paid for it all. Unfortunately, you funded the very enemy that we've been fighting against, and a lot of people are starting to wake up to that concept. And that one Q drop that says, "Do you feel sick yet?" Because when you learn that all of your hard-earned dollars, your taxes to that government, has only been used to fund the enemy that has been trying to destroy you and your family for decades now. And that's coming to an end. So that's another exciting part of the
exactly, for sure. And we just talked about on the radio last night too about we want the same things as, again, the other political side of the aisle. I don't like to get the left right stuff too much, but in general, let's say the right wants less government and the left wants government to take care of certain things. But they also are definitely against people that are overly wealthy. And these people have been stealing money from American people, from people in need, and pocketing it all. So this is exposing all this. That's what Doge is about. And again, because the media spins the narrative on some of our friends that are still sleeping, still believe in them, even though they've lied to them over and over and over and over again. Hopefully they can break free of that narcissistic relationship they have. That this is what this should make everyone happy, that these people that are pocketing money, doing nothing for anybody, all these government programs. Didn't we find out recently that there was a program out there, Mel, that they got $1 million per homeless person? Like, how absurd is that? Somebody's pocketing $1 million per homeless person. That's why the homelessness just gets worse. But think of $1 million, you could house a homeless person. You can have a nice house, food, everything they could possibly need. Instead, rich, wealthy people
and their families and their cats and dogs.
Everything.
Everybody could have been taken care of. Instead, they allow them to sleep on the streets.
Sick. People are going to wake up big time from this, guys. So just keep sharing the truth, keep speaking the truth, have an open heart and compassion for your friends and family. Just ask them questions when they're going off the rails. Ask them a question like, wait a minute, what about this? Or what do you think about this? And try to seek first to understand, then be understood. Once they feel somebody feels understood, then they're going to be listening to you as well too. So I challenge all of us awakened ones to try to shed some of those political labels. Again, some people are lost. There's nothing you can do to help them. But I'm talking about our friends and family who maybe have just been brainwashed by the narrative and still not getting it. To just plant these seeds. Again, be a good steward of information. Ask questions. Again, at the end of the day, it's not our job. They gotta decide for themselves to wake up and figure things out. But I'm challenging you out there who are knowledgeable, who have good hearts, to try to step away from the divide and attacking and stuff, and just ask questions and plant those seeds, like we have been doing. And again, like Tim said, let us do the talking too. If you can't explain stuff very well, it's not always easy to do that. You get in a little debate, send a clip, or and I would like anybody out there to watch our show regularly. If you have AI or anything to cut up some of our clips into reels, it's something we've been wanting to do for a while. We haven't had the time necessarily to do it ourselves, so it's coming in divine timing. But if anybody out there wants to do it, y'all are more than welcome to make them part of your reels on your social medias. You can make those, and we'd be happy to let you guys do that. All that stuff would be great. And share it out.
Awesome. I don't have anything else to add right now. Maybe I'm still waiting to see when Trump comes on. Melzie, you got anything to add before we watch the rest of it?
Okay, so if you want to go to the bottom right above where we just played that little video, Qschqql posted a little 5-second video, I think, and we can play it real quick. And then there's a Q post that correlates with the timestamp.
Okay. So we'll go over to Qschqql here for a second. Over on X, Dan Qschqql Jr. right here, and he posted Trump. This is from the mugshot. Was that in Atlanta? I think it was, right? Atlanta, the mecca of human trafficking. And there's the AI. He's eating the popcorn. Ready the memes, man. The memes too, or the sombrero stuff. It just falling, making the parties fall apart, and we're just having fun, laughing the whole way through it here. So Dan Qschqql that, and then Mel said something with the timestamp. So was that 11:32 Eastern time, or maybe it's 10:32? What's the timestamp you got, Mel? Or are you doing the 5 second?
I just unmuted myself. 10:32.
Okay. So 10:32. So we'll go over to keyboard here. Hey, hammer time, Santa Claus. There he is. We were doing on that last night. So check it out, Qschqql 10:32. And I'm also gonna, just for fun, it was 10:32 p.m. So I'm gonna do 22:32 military time. See if there's any other connections on that post. So there's 10:32. What you want to add on this one, Mel? Is this the right one?
This is not the right one.
Okay. So what's the timestamp?
15:57. Sorry.
Okay.
It was timestamp 32, and with so he did timestamp 32, one drop with timestamp 10:32. So that's so that time, that is 15:57. So look at the time drop, the timestamp in this one.
Yeah, you asked for popcorn. Let's start here. That's perfect.
Let's start here for sure. So I don't know if the timestamp works there, but the popcorn for sure.
I'm not sure how we got it.
That's all right.
Anyways, that's something I saw out there, but I thought that was kind of interesting because we're seeing some popcorn comms out there, and we have been talking about popcorn and buckling up out here. So I'm kind of wondering. I went down. I go to Walmart every day and do delivery stuff, and they have these popcorn. I dropped it in Diggers. They have these big popcorn things. I keep noticing there in the middle of like where it's like prime real estate for stuff, and they just dropped the price from $1 to 50 cents. So I was like, what are they doing out there? Are they getting ready for something?
That is really strange. Yeah, and right where Mel is, these little nods to us as well. So let me. I looked up 10:32 actually on Qag. I don't know about Q alerts, so I just actually put that in there, the timestamp 10:32, which will give us drops with 10 hours, 32 minutes, or also 10 minutes, 32 seconds. Somehow Qag's smart enough to realize they even give us the 10 p.m. one. So again, even though this is 22, which was the actual drop. 22:32 times that we had 7 different drops on Qag. So some of these caught my attention for sure. So one, the symbolism, if anybody hasn't seen this symbolism before, here's Washington DC in the owl symbolism, right? There's the tail of the owl, the body that's right there is that's the Capitol building. That's not the White House. And then in this little form here makes it look like the owl. So they have the symbolism is embedded throughout Washington DC, if you see that. So Washington DC owl. Then there's also every 3-letter, that'd be agency. Every 3-letter agency is here. You are in the middle of something historic. Ain't that an amen? Because talk about the popcorn and Trump being indicted for this stuff like that. And the intelligence agencies going rogue, trying to pin things on him. So these guys are all being exposed. So every 3-letter agency is here watching the Q board, but they're also involved in these treasonous activities. So another one here, 22:32 on drop 12:11. The Q drop 12:10 in there as the world turns. Q, that's connected to Junior, I believe. Also, New York's not sure what this link is. Oh, Nixon. Okay, so the soap operas, because in this connects the next thing here. Barack Hussein Obama. So that's in here connected. Then hint Hussein. That's Barack Obama and Maggie, aka Wendy. How many pics can you find of them together? Age 10, 11, 12. That gets into some dark topics, right?
Yeah.
So and then there's a couple more here. Look at this. Do not fear. Let's see what this YouTube is. This is a good one. This is go over this tab real quick. We have God on our side, friends. And if God is with us, who could be against us? X Dark Legacy, X2. There's another nod to Junior as well. There's our angels protecting and guiding us. We'll go back to the Q drops here now. And the last drop. So again, do not fear. Okay. Another one, sometimes a PSA, public service announcement, RE coordinated and intended plans serves to prevent the action. Okay, so when we playbooks knowing, sometimes Trump will mention this stuff ahead of time because then it prevents them from doing that. Moves and counter moves. Reach has meaning. Reach is like how many people we're getting to, but maybe there's a double or triple meaning in there. I'm not understanding. Reach has meaning.
That hits a
444.
delta. That hits one of the deltas today. One of the 16 deltas.
Which one does?
Reach. Reach
Oh,
has
Reach does.
meaning.
Okay, interesting. And then check this out. X22 report was just talking about Christopher Wray. Q drop 49.25. It's an older drop shared in there. There's a cross right through Christopher Wray's face. And it says, is this the one? No, it doesn't say. Another one says future marker. So, anyways, that's a 1032 timestamp, which was Dan Scavino's popcorn post there with Trump eating the popcorn and the when he got indicted or whatever you call that, when he came in for arraignment.
Oh yeah, KOMY. Yeah, they slid him through the back door, and he pleaded not guilty. And his trial date is set for January 5th. It's apparently going to be about a 2-day trial.
Il Donaldo Trump just dropped his like what he said. If you want to pull that up real quick, it's like real quick. It's kind of funny.
You got it in Diggers?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go over to Diggers. Looks like you got some other stuff in there, and then we got about 5 more minutes of X22, I think.
This
Also,
really bring us there.
yeah. So look at here it is. Is this yours, Melzie? Look
Yeah.
at that. Well, there was $1 for these big bags of popcorn. Now it's 50 cents.
This is the third time they've done this.
You're gonna need extra popcorn, guys. We're gonna need extra popcorn. So there you go. Look at that.
Nice look.
Right? Is that roses on the hat too? That's cool. Roses with the military hat. Like that. And Mel's got her own popcorn popper, so keep it healthy. But in case anybody wants, 50-cent popcorn for everybody. And then here's Il Donald Del Trumpo. I'm gonna go straight to his Rumble. Then let's check out the Rumble.
Hi guys, James KOMY here. Well, I just got indicted for being a lying, corrupt piece of shit. So I just want to ask President Trump, please forgive me, Mr. President. My tiny white ass is not ready to share a jail cell with a big black man that looks like Michelle Obama with a huge schlong. I saw her dancing on Ellen, and honestly, I don't think I can take all that dangling dong in one night.
Oh
I
my
hope you
God.
forgive me, and I'm sorry.
My goodness.
Oh,
Can you believe
my
that? That's
God.
the president of the United States. If that isn't the greatest president of all time, like make jokes like
Sorry, I
that.
didn't know that was on there.
Sure you didn't, Mel. Sure you didn't.
The first part that was funny.
Jeez.
Oh man. All right. So
Well,
here we are.
well. Get my breath back.
Yeah, that was good. That's funny. Okay.
So
back to
the other,
X22.
yeah, we can do that, and then pull up when you come back. Let's bring the Intel board back up, and I'm curious. Well, I know there's 16 deltas. We can scan through those. There's a couple of really good ones that can pop out on the screen for us. But Justice Coming or Justice is Coming. I was always curious how many Q drops there are, because that is the title of today's show. So
All right.
we can cover
We'll
that.
play the last few minutes of X22 report. Maybe Trump's about to come on also, and then I'll
Yeah, I
look in
got
the background.
I got my eye on it right here. I'll scream top of my lungs when he does. You'll know right away. And we'll go. You either go to the White House feed or the RSBN. It's your choice. Our RSBN would come up right away, anyways.
Okay.
There is a Q post too that was yesterday's Delta. I don't know that we covered it, but it was 4832. Shadow president, shadow government, information warfare, irregular warfare, color revolution, insurgency, Q.
Yeah, you shared that one with me a little bit. We had one that kind of covered this, and then again, I don't know why Q Alerts started doing this. This is not normally like that with these. They're not no space there. It should be all these are new lines, so I need to message them. Anyways, Q drop 4832, October 7th, which is a 17, right? October is the 10th month, 7th day, 2020. This Q post is from 131 in there. Also, shout out to Adam Charles Brown and a 107 right there. Shadow president. Oh, I was going to add that too. I forgot to mention that is Trump had 107 of his nominees instantly approved. Did you see that, Tim?
Yesterday, yeah.
107 of them.
107 on 10-7. Just saying.
10-7. Wow.
Trump live.
Trump's live. Okay, so here's this drop though. Shadow president, shadow government, information warfare, irregular warfare, color revolution. Mel likes that one, and then insurgency. Q. So that's big.
Okay, let's go. Trump live. The boss is live. Let's do it. RSBN.
Are they on Rumble or just go to YouTube then? RSBN?
YouTube. Yeah, RSBN. YouTube's good. Yeah, you might have to come back just a minute because he started speaking about a minute ago. Mine was delayed, unfortunately. So It looks like he started speaking around 3:30 timestamp.
Sunday, actually, and we'll see. There's we're dealing with Hamas and many of the countries. As you know, we have Muslim. All of the Muslim countries are included. All of the Arab countries are included. Very rich countries and some that are not so rich, but just about everybody's included. It's never happened before. Nothing like that's happened before. And our final negotiation, as you know, is with Hamas. And it seems to be going well. So we'll let you know. If that's the case, we'll be leaving probably on Sunday, maybe Saturday, maybe a little later than Saturday evening, but that seems to be our schedule. It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting, one in particular who's a top person and a great patriot. In July, approximately a dozen Antifa-aligned militants stormed the ICE facility in Texas and then lured officers out of the building before firing dozens of rounds at police. They were crazy, frankly, shooting one Texas officer in the neck. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our officers and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law. Everything we're doing is very lawful. What they're doing is not lawful. And what the governor and the mayor of, as an example, you could say of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, it's not lawful what they're doing. They have to be very careful. In addition, 2 weeks ago, a radical left terrorist in Dallas conducted a sniper attack on a local ICE facility, killing 2 people and leaving behind a note that read, "Hopefully this will give ICE agents some real terror." That's bad. This attack came the very same month that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a far-left extremist who inscribed the words, "Hey fascist, catch," meaning catch the bullet, onto the bullet shelf itself. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon. You should see what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen.
We're not going to let it happen.
They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with, but if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of a beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper with beautiful wood handles, all the same color. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists. At least 3 of these courageous journalists have personally been victims of Antifa attacks. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa thugs for his work in Cruz. Andy is a very serious person, too, I have to tell you. I've been watching him for a long time. Is Andy here? That's what I thought. Hello, Andy. I thought that was you. You're looking better than you do out on those streets, huh? You look much better. It's nice to have you. You feel a little safer here, I think, maybe. Well, not that safe, because you have them. You have to worry about that. But thank you very much. Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa, and including one assault that left him with a brain hemorrhage. Only days ago, Nick Sortor was assaulted in Portland by a flag-burning mob, and we've made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite. When you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it, many examples of it, and it's actually down on tape, and you see things happen that just don't happen unless it's the flag that's burning. Very recently, Katie Davis Court was hit in the face with a flagpole in Portland by an Antifa radical, leaving her with a very blackened eye. So, Katie, thank you very much. And I'd like to also say that I watched Nick. Where's Nick? Is Nick here? Right here. Nick? Hi, Nick. That was a rough time you went through. I hope you got my little note. I wrote you a note.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. It helped a lot because it was a difficult situation. It was very stressful, and your note helped a lot. I truly appreciate it.
I thought it was terrible, actually. I thought it was terrible. So we'll talk about it a little bit. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you are a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble. And we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. I want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi, who, by the way, yesterday was incredible in Congress. It was amazing, and she just did it from the heart and the brain, because she's very smart, in all fairness. But she did it from the heart, and she did it an incredible. Everybody was talking about it. She exposed some of these fake senators, these terrible senators, people like Blumenthal that had a phony war record. For 20 years, he talked about it, what a hero he was, and it turned out he never went to Vietnam. For 20 years, he talked about being a hero in Vietnam. Then it was exposed when he said what platoon he was with, and it was exposed that somebody was watching from that particular platoon. They said he was never with us. And then he went out and he cried, and he was ready to drop out of the election. And disgraceful. And then he looks at people like Pam and he starts criticizing her, and she's a patriot. They ought to do something with that. You know, we have a young congressman that's right now in jail for lying about where he went to college and other things. It was, you know, frankly not good. It was pretty bad. But it was nothing compared to Blumenthal. I mean, what Blumenthal did, he was for 20 years a hero, a great war hero. And then he sits back and, you know, sanctimonious kind of a guy, looks down, how dare you do this to the American public, you know? What a fake. But I thought Pam was incredible yesterday, as well as Secretary Kristi Noem, who's really out there courageously, and I appreciate it, Kristi, amazing what you're doing. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's really coming up with some great information, Kash. It's great. Keep it coming, because there's plenty of it. Deputy Attorney General, one of the best lawyers you'll ever find, Todd Blanche, who I know personally is a good lawyer because I'm here. Thank you very much, Todd. Good job, Todd. Let me ask Attorney General Bondi to say a few words, and then we'll follow it up with Secretary Noem and Director Patel. And we're going to have some of the people around the table, very courageous people, and they're going to be talking, journalists, almost all, and they're going to be talking, and we'll take some questions from the press at the end. Okay, Pam, please.
Thank you, President Trump. And as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization. We've seen them on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it. They beat journalists, they attack courthouses, they attack police stations, they dox and assault our law enforcement officers. The Biden administration let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years. So did Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him. Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism. It's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. Christine.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also thank everyone around this table for being so bold and so brave, for standing up and recognizing the threat that Antifa is to our way of life. By recognizing how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, how they have been attacked, how they have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up. We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. They have been so bold in making sure we're bringing those individuals to justice. One of the individuals we arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, interview her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society. I want to thank the new journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter, it will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole of government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole of government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, and including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
Thank you very much, Cash. Great job. Maybe we'll start over here. Would any of you like to say something? Feel free. You can say it in front of a fine group of people, also journalists and reporters. You want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. President Trump, members of the cabinet, really appreciate you guys bringing this together. And the fact that we are here today and on such short notice shows how serious you guys are taking this issue of trans terrorists and frankly, the cities and police departments that are cooperating with Antifa, such as Portland. I mean, the Portland politicians are literally willing to sacrifice their own citizens just to appease these Antifa terrorists. It's sickening. I've seen it firsthand, obviously. When I went to jail that night, never expected it to happen. I thought that they were maybe removing me for my own safety. It never crossed my mind that I was the one that was being arrested for a crime after I was just thrown into a hole. I heard from the Department of Homeland Security after I had gotten out of jail, and one of your, I won't say exactly who it was, but somebody very close to Secretary Noem over here said that they were legitimately worried for my safety in the Portland jail. But luckily the Portland jail was, I was the only one there, essentially, because they don't actually arrest people in Portland, besides conservative journalists, I guess. So look, I'm glad that it was not a good night for me. Let's just say that. It was not fun sitting in that jail, but I'm glad to see what has come of it. And I've been able to talk to a bunch of FBI agents, ATF agents, DHS agents that I didn't even know existed until I went there and went to that ICE facility. And the morale is at an all-time high. It is so exciting to see these guys know now that they have the backing of the Secretary, the DOJ, as well as the President of the United States, and they are there to do their job. They are going to fulfill this mission and deport these violent criminals. I believe one of the ones that I did a ride-along with Secretary Noem yesterday, President Trump, and there was a pedophile that had come into the country 5 times over the past 7 years. 7 years, and apparently under the Biden regime, that was just allowed to happen. That was fine. No problem. It's concerning to me that you're seeing the Portland Police Department, as well as the governor of Oregon, and the mayor, of course, coming out and running defense for pedophiles that have entered the country illegally 5 times. It's crazy. I'm glad it's taking a front row seat in the media. And, they're being forced to talk about it in reality because, we're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on. And much of the legacy media has been either ignoring it or covering for Antifa for years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
That's right. I saw that.
Took this flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
I saw it. Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General, and let's start prosecutions.
Yeah, I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have 2 of them from the same guy.
Well, you also saw what happened when that flag started burning. Everyone went crazy. And that's when it started, when they started burning the flag. So thank you. If you could give the information, it would be great.
Absolutely.
And at least that horrible night made you famous.
I got a text from the President of the United States, so I appreciate that.
And President Trump, after that happened to Nick, I called Harmeet Dillon, and we opened a pattern and practice investigation into the Portland police, very publicly, as to how they let this happen.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, Brandy Cruz, you're going to hear us be very fired up today, and you can tell, and it's because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. And I'll also tell you that I think that had you not done, the single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Daviscourt in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing. They didn't seem quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who was in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off, they're nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative, it's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. Now it's like I said, I'm much happier about it. But for me, again, I could not care any less the stories that they go to print. This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to, I don't care what the media says, I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this fact. So we want the federal government to take as many of these cases as possible, look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts, and hopefully in 3.5 years, they will be a shell of their former selves.
Protect this woman at all costs.
Posted on, and it's Antifa and many others,
Yes.
unfortunately. There are many others, bad ones. Most have been named terrorist organizations. There are a couple that we're going to, but I think we've got it pretty well covered. But there are many others, but very specifically today it's Antifa, and it's really bad, and we're going to get it cleaned up. Andy, do you have something? Thank you very much. I'm glad you no longer have TDS. I feel very good about that.
You said others, Kyle. That's
Thank you, Mr.
Muslim
President
Brotherhood,
and members of the cabinet. I have a lot of gratitude, and a little bit about my background. I'm born in Portland, Oregon, from there. And growing up, it's always been left-wing, very progressive, and I liked it. It had cafes and artists and those who lived a bohemian lifestyle. And in 2016, I was a graduate student at Portland State studying political science. I was an editor at the student paper there, a very progressive paper, and I was assigned to cover the election night demonstrations. Well, the elections night protests turned to riots, 3 days of violent rioting in Portland, and it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This was 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism, and within seconds they would ravage one street to another, to another, to another. And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which I still read at that time and looked forward to, and I looked up to those journalists, and I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these other lies. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves. And in 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland. And then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight. I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right, and some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so, it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to finish me off. But I continued, and then 2020, Portland was really the epicenter of the longest political violence. Those months of riots, I was on the ground, undercover, and there was an assassination there. There was a supporter of Donald Trump named Aaron Danielson who was shot dead by a self-described Antifa member who then fled out of state and died in a shootout with US Marshals. In 2021, I returned undercover, naively thinking that enough time had passed, and was chased through the streets of downtown and beaten, nearly choked out. The person who was trying to choke me out held me so tightly that I had the blood, the vessels in my eyes burst. So one of the symptoms were my eyes were completely red after that, and I was hospitalized. So thank you so much for acknowledging Antifa and for directing your administration to treat them as domestic terrorists. It's going to be really challenging because how they organize is that they are decentralized, autonomous, and they operate on deception. And we're still to this day told that they don't exist, that it's a figment of our imagination. I think the DOJ could look at federal conspiracy charges. The state of California and San Diego County last year broke up an Antifa cell in San Diego. And I think maybe perhaps the State Department should designate Antifa, its international arm, as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO. So thank you so much for this invitation, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Andy. Great. That's a rough time you had, huh? So the chokeout was almost the end, you felt?
Yeah, that was my only near-death experience in my life, and I'm quite shaken when I think about it now. It really feels unbelievable to me that on the streets of America that this type of violence against citizens could become so routine and accepted and cheered on by people. Although, you know, in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Kirk's assassination, we saw again that type of depravity play out on quite large swaths of the left. So there's a deep sickness that's in this country right now, and it pains me a lot to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you look at Portland, and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, I mean, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor, and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong. It's almost like, are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids, I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie as bad. And then the governor will get up and say, I don't know why they're coming here. It's such a wonderful place. And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people that live there, many of them have left, but the real people want us to be. The same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over a short period of time. Murders, people that got shot. They've had hundreds of people shot, and then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up, he's got a 5% approval rating, and the people are all against him. They want people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime. They don't care, frankly, they don't care if it's National Guard and military. Send in anybody you want, stop the crime. And they're afraid to go out. They can't even go out. And then a guy like Pritzker, think of that, 50, 60, 70 people over a short period of time murdered, actually murdered, mostly gun violence, but knives, but gun violence, they're murdered, and hundreds of people shot. They had one weekend where they had like 18 murdered and 71 shot. But they said, you know what their excuse is? Yeah, but it was a long weekend. In other words, it was a long weekend, so that was okay. And then Pritzker gets up and he says, like, I don't know what they're talking about. We don't have crime here. They're crazy. I think actually they're petrified. You know, their families live there, everything else. I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guy's a loser. But you know what? They actually, I believe they're scared. they're actually frightened for their lives. Jack, please say a few words.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And it's now been just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments, celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie Kirk. This sickness that's out there is absolutely real. And Mr. President, thank you for mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around this room that have studied Antifa, we're very familiar with these symbols. And Mr. President, I think the situation is getting worse. When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and more murderous violence. And this same violence is not just random. It is targeted assassinations, which are getting worse. And every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff, we are now under that threat every single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team. And I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare, and people say, you know, what was it like to speak in front of all those people? It was horrible. Every second of it was horrible. But we're not going to quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this, because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop. But they need to stop, and they will not stop until they are stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it very much. One thing I have to say is that Washington, D.C. was almost as bad. I don't know what could be worse than Portland. You don't even have stores anymore. They don't even put glass up. They put plywood on their windows, but most of the retailers have left. But Washington, D.C. was so bad, and Pam, I'd say it took 12 days to really make it pretty good, and a month to make it great. And now people are going out to dinner. The restaurants are booming. They don't have enough seats. They're opening up new restaurants because many of them closed. And people are walking down the street totally safe. A reporter, I'm not sure if she's there. I can't see somebody reported there. She is. She was violently assaulted. And I don't know, she tends to be somewhat liberal, but she wasn't liberal on this one. I appreciated your honesty, but that won't happen again. It won't happen again. You're lucky you're alive, frankly, with what happened. I know exactly what took place. So Washington, D.C., our capital, we thought we'd start there appropriately, and it's safe, and people are so happy. They're so happy. And now it's a couple of months. I went to dinner there. I felt totally safe. I gave a press conference right in the middle of the street, which I don't think Secret Service was thrilled about. But, you know, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to do it 6 months ago. It's incredible what happened. Now we're in Memphis. As you know, we're having a great impact in Memphis. It's been only a week, but it's, Cash, I hear it's been amazing what's happening there, just very early. But you take a look at D.C. and you take a look at some of the other. We've had a big impact. What we haven't said, because Pritzker said, well, crime is going down in Chicago. Well, 5 months ago, Cash went to Chicago with a lot of FBI agents just to prepare it, so that we went in with, I guess you could call it a surge, call it whatever you want, but would be even more effective. And we're going to be doing that, and very, very strongly doing that, because Chicago is a very unsafe city. It's a great city. The head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, "Sir, please save Chicago. It's a great city. It can be saved." Other cities are gone. I mean, they're lost. They can get better, but they're just really, they've been so decimated. But I'm so proud of what they've done so quickly in D.C., and it's taking place quickly in Memphis, where we were asked to go by the mayor and by the governor. And it's really incredible what we can do and how fast we can do it. Let's go for two more. Would you like to go? And then Katie, you'll go. Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why they're such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it if we have large swaths of, these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a real organization because there's no national leadership, they don't have a national headquarters, so how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC, they don't have official membership cards, they don't have a business address, but law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up, randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it. And so I've been very well aware of what Antifa's been doing. I was very busy during the riots in 2020. That was probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up around. Like I said, I was in Portland. I was covering the riots in Los Angeles as well. And probably one of the most disturbing parts about that is, in addition to Antifa being present, they were tagging the streets with CJNG, which is Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is a cartel. So you have these people who are working basically in concert with other terrorist groups to say that we're here, we're present, and we're gonna attack federal agents and people who are gonna expose what we do. And so, to be clear, political violence, sustained political violence that we're seeing in this country is not a both sides issue. I was, I was at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Glendale recently. Conservative gathering, totally peaceful. It was the most peaceful gathering that I've been at. Every other time that I've been covering violence in the streets, just this year, just this year, it's always been from left-wing people, radical left-wing people. And it's not even just Antifa anymore. The shooting that happened the defensive shooting that happened in the Chicago area, that wasn't someone dressed in black bloc. That was just somebody that had taken upon themselves to go out and try to interfere and ram federal vehicles. So people are becoming more and more radicalized, and it was to be expected, unfortunately. And the reason why we're in this position today is because after I was done covering the riots, I was at the border from the San Diego sector all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley sector, covering the border crisis month after month. And we all knew the solution to that. We all knew why it was happening. It's because, well, it's racist to have a border. It's like, well, actually, it's not, but okay. And so it required you to come back into office and to fix the problem, but it's no longer just a border issue. It's a nationwide issue, and that's one of the reasons why you got elected back into office, because thankfully the American people said we're not going to deal with it anymore. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, as we've seen, who are willing to take to the streets to do violence. And that's a scary thing, because typically when I was in 2020, I was covering Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. I was over in Chaz, and that was to be expected. But now, because the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, is so widespread, riots can happen anywhere. Attacks can happen anywhere. So that's why it was weird kind of going back to my home state to cover this violence. I mean, just after the Dallas shooting, they were chanting outside Broadview, shoot ICE, shoot those, efforts, shoot those efforts. So I'll just leave that. Thank you so much again for having this. This is very dangerous. We don't work for companies that have billions of dollars. We're running and gunning often on our own. We became friends. A lot of us are friends because we would see each other all the time, and we became friends because we wanted to have someone watch our back while we're out there. Because like I said, we're just out there. And but we'll continue to do it because it's an important topic. It's an important issue. The American people deserve to know what's happening in these chaotic situations, and we're more than happy to do it. So thank you, sir.
Great job. Thank you very much. Katie, please.
Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor being here today, and I first wanted to start by thanking you guys for designating Antifa a terrorist group. It's exactly what this group is. It's a long time coming. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. Then that's what opened my eyes to what this group is actually doing. I watched 20 Antifa militants help my assault suspect escape into an Antifa safe house that is 1 block away from the ICE facility. And this safe house is where Antifa-affiliated protesters are conducting paramilitary operations. It's where they're arresting, they're showering, they're eating to continue this occupation. I have staked out this safe house and have observed shift changes. This group is highly organized. It is being funded through mutual aid groups, and they have no plans of stopping. Residents living across the ICE facility have been held hostage by Antifa. They're begging for federal intervention. The city refuses to help, and they want you, President Trump, to come in and restore law and order. I want to stress the importance of taking this situation seriously, because when I first started reporting on this occupation, I went undercover in Black Bloc. I talked to these Antifa militants. I lasted for about a month. They believe that ICE agents are the Nazi Gestapo who need to be killed. They told me that directly, and I think that if this situation is not taken as seriously as it is, it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Katie. That's pretty incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why they're doing it is because the same media that's sitting in this room with us has declared all of us at this table Nazis and fascists, and they've been doing this for years. This is why Antifa feels emboldened to attack us. Now, almost every single person at this table has been threatened with a steel bat. We've been assaulted, we've been harassed, we've been threatened, and that is in huge part due to the media. So my message right now is for you guys, because 2 years ago back in 2020, by the way, I was censored for my reporting on Antifa here in Washington, D.C. You were talking about how safe it is. Now, Mr. President, it wasn't so safe back then. Back in 2020, I watched as a father was being mobbed and surrounded by Antifa members as his terrified, crying children looked on and the police here did nothing. I watched as a woman had her hair violently ripped out of her skull simply for waving an American flag on the streets of Washington, D.C. And by the way, if you guys try to go and find any of this footage, you won't find any of it because Twitter deleted all of it because our president shared my reporting and they deleted my entire account immediately after. So now, if you want to know what happened in 2020, all you're going to see is the media headlines that said that it was fiery but mostly peaceful. Thanks for that one, CNN. The reality is that it was an extremely violent period of time, and for the last 10 years, Antifa has been wreaking havoc on law-abiding and innocent American citizens, and it needs to end. Now, I'm with Turning Point USA. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the administration, for giving us a seat at the table, because the media has not only been demonizing us for so long, but immediately after the brutal assassination of our founder, Charlie Kirk, our Turning Point USA chapters have seen an uptick in violence across the nation as Antifa chapters that are embedded in our universities go and target them. It's been extremely difficult to report on the ground, and for a long time I was afraid to go to Portland because I knew that the only people who would have my back, like Julio said, were one of my friends on the ground because there is no police force there. I was terrified to go because I knew if I got shot or stabbed, and I have been assaulted, I've been mobbed and robbed in Austin, Texas by Antifa, that nobody would come to help me. So my plea to the entire administration, especially to the DOJ, is every single radical left-winger who is in front of the ICE facility in Chicago, in New York, in Portland, please make sure that you use the full force of the law to come after each and every single one of them, because it is us being soft on left-wing violence that has fomented all of the terror that we have seen in this country, and it is the left wing getting away time and time again with assaulting law-abiding American citizens that has led us to this place. So truly, to the Americans that I speak to on the ground, they feel completely abandoned by their state and local government. So please step in. You have Americans begging for the National Guard, and to the media over here, please report on the truth. Please do your jobs. I'm an American citizen. Everybody at this table simply views ourselves as American citizens who have an iPhone and the will to actually tell the truth. So please take your job seriously and tell the truth to the American people. And thank you for letting me be here on behalf of Charlie to continue his legacy of cleaning up the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, you feel very strongly, I can see.
I'm mad. I got beat up so many times, Mr. President. My friends have gotten beaten up, and I want to cry right now from happiness because we have been completely ignored for so long. For almost 10 years, we've been getting assaulted on the streets. I have watched children cry as their parents have been attacked on the streets. That should not be happening at our nation's capital. So please, again, the DOJ, please utilize the full force and go after each and every single one of these people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Great job. Impassioned. That's important because you should feel like that. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for having us here and bringing together this panel of brave journalists, everybody on this side of the room. And no one can speak to the violence better than these people here. So I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella funding network, the Tides funding network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number 1, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number 2, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, etc. And then 3, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call rioting. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership, for the whole cabinet's leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Or Christy.
Yeah, we'll do that.
As soon as you can. That's all of you. Because you probably know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's treasonous probably. So if you could, very important, if you could do that, that would be great.
This
Nobody
is
would know better
huge,
than
guys.
you. Figure it out.
Citizen journalism.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
The President of the United States.
My name's Nick Shirley. I'm 23 years old. I'm a 100% independent YouTube journalist. And over the past year or so, I've been able to go to 15 countries. I've hung out with people in the gangs of Brazil, in the favelas, in the prisons of Qschqql. But yet the most dangerous places I have been here in the United States, unfortunately. And I've had the opportunity to show people about the protest Antifa here in the United States, and there's nothing organic about what they are doing here in the United States. I've watched people be bussed in from states. I've watched the same lady at a protest in Atlanta be bussed to the protest in DC and then in New York City. There's nothing that is honest about what they are doing. And they have signs, I've seen the same signs here in DC and in London as well. It's a big organization and corporation that they're running. And people may wonder, like, what's the threat to us as Americans if we go? Well, you'll be labeled as a fascist, you'll be labeled as a Nazi, and they'll wish death upon you, because they wish death upon me. And just last week in Portland, Oregon, I watched a lady get trapped in her car, surrounded by Antifa, and her sister messaged me after seeing the video. She said, the only reason I think my sister was safe is because you were there recording. I also was chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me. And next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, who knows what would have happened that day. These people are very dangerous, and people wonder how they're able to do it. The reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law. And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous, and I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that.
Thank you very much. It's too bad you have to go through it.
I know, it's
thank
a little
you very
crazy,
much.
right, Mr. President?
Well, you're going to get to the bottom of it, so it's a very important thing you're doing. Thank you very much. Please, Ken.
Yeah, I've just got something very short. I'm attacked every time I do my job. When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So my question for all of you is, how would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Stop saying we're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do.
What network would you say is the worst, if I could ask?
Oh man, yeah, that's a real tight spot.
Honestly, it's a simple question.
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them. So I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Who would you say? Which network?
MSNBC for sure.
Oh, they're terrible. I agree. That's
CNN,
terrible.
probably close. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rate it that way, yeah. MSNBC, that's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is a disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah, second.
I would say CNN is not quite as bad as MS.
MSNBC is not really a news site anymore.
Oh, MSNBC is sick.
Yeah.
They're sick.
Well, sir, it's
who
also
else?
just the stories that they publish about what's the ICE enforcement operations that are so heavily slanted that it's no longer, as I was saying, no longer just Antifa, but Americans that are becoming radicalized. So they've been very irresponsible with how they've been reporting
Who
on
is
it.
that?
MSNBC, for example, they're
Would you rate them the worst?
probably.
Who would you rate second?
Well, they ran a story about an operation in Southern California about how a father of 3 Marines was arrested, and they made it seem like they just did it because he's brown. But there's video of that same man charging at the agents with a weed whacker. Now, I've worked with weed whackers back in the day, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those. So that's why he was arrested, but the story was presented as if it's a brown guy just simply being arrested. And I've been around ICE agents, and I'm a citizen, so I feel fine. But it's just that's why. It's not just Antifa. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's
It's working in conjunction. I think they work in conjunction with some of the media. I think ABC is very bad. I think NBC is very bad. And CBS has a new owner, so we have hope for CBS. CBS has a great new owner, my opinion. But I will tell you, ABC is terrible. NBC is terrible. NBC's MSNBC too. They changed it. They moved it over legally so they couldn't be tainted by the words MSNBC, but they are absolutely terrible. There are a lot of them. What about independents? Independent networks.
They're a little bit better, but I would say that we're an example of how you don't need to be part of a super large company to be able to do just basic journalism. All you got to do is sit and record, and you'll let the story play out. And that's why they hate us. That's why Antifa targets us.
Well, I watched a level of dishonesty that's incredible, where answers are changed. Like just before the election, an answer was changed by Kamala. She gave a horrible, death-defying, election-defying answer. And they took the answer out and they replaced it with another answer that she gave 5 minutes later, having to do with a different subject, but at least it wasn't election-defying. No, the level of dishonesty with the media is incredible, whether it's on Antifa or many of the other groups. You're talking about Antifa, and I know that's close to your heart because that's the one that's most affecting you. But there are others that are as bad or almost as bad as Antifa, having to do with different people, different sections of the world, but it's terrible. We're not going to let it go on in this country. We're not going to let it go on. And a big problem is not all of them, but some of the networks out there. And you do wonder why. You really do. Okay, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you again.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Cho. I am an investigative reporter for Frontlines Turning Point USA. I'm also a senior fellow at Discovery Institute in Seattle. And I cover far-left extremism as well as the homeless drug crisis in America. And I find it oftentimes those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in D.C. in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now. And what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many U.S. cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group right now that is behind Antifa and working with Antifa very closely, based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give to you and your team, are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be aligning themselves with Antifa. So finally, in closing, what I wanted to thank you again, Mr. President, is that a few months ago, earlier this year, you put out an executive order on homelessness and the drug addiction crisis in America, and that's sent the entire homeless industrial complex on the run. You have absolutely moved the needle and changed the game. But what's also come out, again, is that there is a connection, a deeply embedded connection with the homeless housing nonprofit game in America, connected to Antifa and the far-left activists. And finally, I just wanted to say that all of our resources at Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute are at your disposal. And we will continue, again, to carry on the legacy of Charlie Kirk. He would have wanted us to pursue and chase the story.
Well, he was a good friend of mine, as you know, and he helped us get elected. Us, it really is us. It's even some of them, but not too many of them, not enough of them. And did you notice when we mentioned CNN and MSDNC, the cameras went off. 2 of the cameras immediately went off, but they're not going to cover it anyway. The problem we have is that this is a very important meeting, but you'll see very little press about it. These are major statements being made by major people, including the people right here, and you're not going to see too much about it. They don't like to cover this kind of thing. So it's very dishonest what's going on there. I think the press is a big factor. Please, go ahead.
That's because we are the news
Mr. President,
now.
thank you so much for
Let's
having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, enforce basic immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Qschqql. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020, when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, unfortunately died and basically suppressing people's voices, And so what I did want to talk about is to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying, it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront. And it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
One question. So why is it there are numerous groups? I mean, Antifa is terrible, but you have other groups that I guess probably are almost as bad or just as bad. Not one other group was mentioned. I'm sort of surprised at that. you just come into contact with Antifa? It seems to be that you mostly come into contact with Antifa. Please.
There's a lot of overlap, and I would say that, for instance, Jonathan brought up the Democratic Socialists of America. They're basically the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Socialists of America who are out there in black bloc, hiding their faces. And so I think we use, and I do understand, for the record, I do understand the challenge, as Andy pointed out, with Antifa as a graspable entity. I do. But at the end of the day, when you look at behavior, you prosecute behavior, right? We're not prosecuting ideas or ideology, you're prosecuting behavior. So whether you can prove that this amorphous thing is Antifa or someone has a patch that says Antifa, it doesn't matter. Did they assault someone? Did they assault a federal agent? Were they engaged in rioting? What is it? And so they're always using that, oh, well, they don't call themselves Antifa, even though some of them literally do. It's called Rose City Antifa. How long has it been around in Portland, Andy?
Since 2007.
They call themselves Antifa. In Seattle, I was outside the federal building, and they were yelling, "There's no police here, this is Antifa land." And then at the same time, Democrats, like our governor, oh, Antifa is an idea. But yeah, I think Antifa can overlap with a lot of other entities and organizations.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
President Trump, I just wanted to add this real quick, because you were asking which mainstream media outlet is the worst. What I think, it's any of them that decided to call Kilmar Abrego Garcia Maryland Dad. Because when I'm out there on the street talking to these people, they call Maryland Dad is this human, he's actually a human trafficking MS-13 gang member that's illegally in the country. But the amount of people on the street that I spoke with that thought that he was a U.S. citizen that was being deported to Uganda is dangerous. These people genuinely believe, based on what comes out of the garbage standing over here, that you guys are deporting U.S. citizens. So that's what's causing all these
when you
problems.
have a governor like Pritzker in Chicago, where you have Illinois, which is in a lot of trouble. Chicago's there, potentially a great city again. It's not great now, but it could be great again. That's why we have to get there soon, because eventually you can't do that. What makes a man like that say that things are wonderful? Why doesn't he say, we love that President Trump is going to come and help us clean up Chicago and make it safe again, as opposed to fighting us and pretending that there weren't 50 murders and 200 shootings and all of that? Why is that? Go ahead, Nick.
To spite you. To spite the administration. That's simply what it's about at this point. Because, if you go and talk to some of these citizens, like I'll use Portland as an example again, because I've been there for so long now. You talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments next door to the ICE facility. There are veterans with PTSD that live there, and they're here all night long, screaming, fireworks being lit off by these rioters, children crying because they, can't sleep at night and they're scared of all the noise outside, and they can't leave. They got a lease. You can't just leave. These people aren't wealthy individuals. And that's one of the major problems. And these people are afraid to come out and speak out, and they're getting no help from their government at all. They've been begging for the noise ordinance to be enforced outside of their apartment complex for months now, and the city of Portland has ignored them every single time. The victims are, as I said, they're afraid, but the governments aren't doing anything because they want to spite the administration. It's all political.
And the politicians make you feel like you're foolish, like there's something wrong. How could President Trump be saying that about Chicago? And yet, the night before, you see that, 11 people were shot, 5 people died, and you have him talking about like it's a wonderful situation. They make you feel guilty. And a lot of people don't get over that. They just don't get over it. I think they convince the people. Do wealthy people leave too or not? Places like Portland, are the wealthy people leaving? People that can leave, are they leaving?
I think that they're moving to the areas that have been gentrified. I mean, the Oregon governor, when she was saying, we don't need Trump here, she's walking around. It's a very tight shot, if you notice that. And she said, Portland's just fine. Look at me. And they'll focus on the couple areas of Portland that are very nice. Well, she was saying that, and there were explosions in the background. Yeah. I mean, there was a reason they cropped it in.
Explosions in the background.
Sir,
Anybody have anything else to say over here?
Yeah, well, just the protesters that you... Oh, sorry.
And then should we be taking questions, or is it just a waste of time? Because they can ask questions, but, well, there's Brian, he's good. But you know what? In a way, it's a waste of time, because if you give a great answer, they don't put it on. If you give a horrendous answer, or even if you give a great answer, they make it sound like it's not a great answer. They're very dishonest. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I think part of that dishonesty comes from what they see. For instance, I've never been asked to go on any other show besides Fox News. My clips go viral everywhere, but they've never even asked, like CNN's never asked, MSNBC's never asked. And a lot of times when I go to hotels, I'll stay and I'll watch like MSNBC.
Fortunately, their ratings are terrible.
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, it's so pathetic.
It is very
You
pathetic.
ever see their anchors in the evening? Nobody ever heard of them. Where do these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. They'd do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, you know. It's just one of those things, right? Okay, Nick, you finished, Nick?
Yeah,
Are you
very
finished,
much.
Nick? Good job. Thank you very much. Well, you've been through hell, I tell you that, but you're really incredible patriots, incredible people. Go ahead, please, Brian. Brian, go ahead.
I'm so thankful for each and every one of you here right now, and I'm very grateful that my network, Real American Voice, has partnered up with many of you. Jack or Silva, you have a show on a network. Many of you, Savannah, have appeared on a network as well, so thank you for being here. My question is this: in terms of following the money, I would just notify that the city of Austin is cleared to vote tomorrow to basically waive a $120,000 fee so that a No Kings, basically an anti-Trump rally, can occur in their city. They're bypassing the fees, rolling it to the taxpayers. So my question is to you: what can the people of Austin, Texas do right now to make sure that their tax dollars don't fund a No Kings anti-Trump rally coming up?
Well, you just tell me. I would love to do something about that. Bring a lawsuit, do something. You know, the best thing you can do is have honest elections, because the elections are totally rigged in so many of these places. You know, you take a look, the people, they're all loving you. They can't breathe. They love so much, every one of them. You don't see one negative, then all of a sudden you lose the election by 20 points. The elections are so rigged, and we proved that in 2020 more than any other time. But even the last election, there were areas that I won by much more. We won in a landslide, but I actually won in more of a landslide than we thought. I said, you got to get out, make it too big to rig. And fortunately, the people made it too big to rig. They tried. But the biggest thing you can do is have honest elections. You know, if you don't have, and you need great media. You need borders. Wait. You need borders. You need honest media, you need honest elections, and you have a great country, and you need all three of them. Yeah, go ahead.
Lieutenant had ties to all these radical groups that you talked about inside here, so thank you for removing.
I would like you to make a big deal, though, if they're waiving a fee, but I guarantee they wouldn't waive it if it was it's not Trump. If it were a conservative rally, they wouldn't be waiving it. So maybe you can look into that, Pam. Todd?
Mr. President.
That sounds like one for Todd, Pam. Go ahead, Todd. Good luck.
There's proof that Antifa actually infiltrated on.
Who are you?
I am with
What network?
I'm with Al Arabiya. It's an Arabic network based in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. But I am the foreign ruler today. Mr. President, you said that you might go to the Middle East on Sunday. Do you mean Egypt and Israel? And would you consider going to Gaza to see what things are on the ground?
I would. I might do that. I may do that. We haven't decided exactly. I'll be going to Egypt most likely. That's where everybody is gathered right now, and we appreciate that very much. But I'll be making the rounds, as the expression goes. I probably will.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, you said you might go to Gaza. You're saying that's the first topic. I'm representing the TV pool, but I'm with NBC, sir.
That's too bad.
Okay. Well, just to clarify, you said you might go to Gaza, and then the second question I had earlier today, you said the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois should be jailed. Have you asked the Justice Department to look at possible charges?
No, I've seen the law, and when you have a group of people where the police call off the safety for ICE officials, I've understood that, and I've read it today in numerous journals, that's illegal. What they did is I guess it was ICE, Christie, right? They were under threat, and the police were helping beautifully, and it was fine. And then all of a sudden, a woman was on the line saying, "Everybody, move back, get out, get out." And they were given an order by the second person in the police department, and the governor knew about it, the mayor knew about it. I understand that's a criminal offense. Do you want to comment on that, Christy?
Yes, sir, we're seeing that kind of pattern happen with local law enforcement and state law enforcement, not just in Illinois, but also out in Oregon, too. In fact, in Portland, I was there yesterday, but some of the ICE officers were telling me that as they drove by the rioters that were saying, "Kill ICE agents, Molotov cocktails, melt ICE," that the Portland police were cheering them on and had their fists in the air cheering on the rioters that were threatening their lives. So in Chicago, we had a 10-car caravan trail our ICE officials and pin them down. And those ICE officials, to get out of their vehicles, a woman tried to ram them and run them over, and shots were fired to get them to safety. So it's happening on a regular basis, and any elected official that allows this to happen and gives cover to those kind of individuals who are perpetuating murder should absolutely be prosecuted, in my opinion.
Mr. President.
Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And by the way, we have Marco Rubio. Marco, come on up here, please. He's going to bring a little stability to this group. Come on up. Does everybody know Marco Rubio? Is there anybody that doesn't? Some of the reporters don't. That's why they shouldn't be reporters.
Which job is he here for today,
Come
sir?
on up here, Marco. Anything we should know about the Middle East?
That's what we're hoping to talk to you about here, Mr. President. Let's stay with it.
He's doing a good job. He was born for this job, I can tell you. Daniel, please.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I have two questions for you, if that's okay. Seamus talked a little bit about the money aspect of this. Do you believe if you go after where the money is coming from with Antifa, in regards to Antifa, do you believe that would be similar to cutting the head off the snake, so to speak? And I have
It would help. I don't know that it would be totally complete, but it would certainly, you'd knock out 75%, 80%, 85%. These people, a lot of them don't believe it. You know, when I watch them, I say, I can almost tell a pro they're like professionals. That's all they do. And they get paid by somebody. I think it would knock out a lot of it. Yeah, not all of it maybe, but a lot of it.
And then a follow-up to that is a lot of the people who we've listened to over the last hour, they've emphasized that Antifa, it's not necessarily this big organized thing. It's a bit ambiguous. It's deorganized. I think that's one of the words that Andy used. What is the challenges of going after a group that makes it intentionally difficult to go after and find? That could be for you, the Attorney General, anyone up there.
Well, they're smart people, and they deceive. A lot of them are crooked people. A lot of them have been staying out of trouble their whole lives, and they've been bad from the day they were born, frankly. But these are sick people. Pam, go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments, to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving. Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly. So I will take a couple of more questions. Please.
Thank you, sir. I also have two questions for you, if I may. Have you given any more thought to possibly suspending habeas corpus to not only deal with these insurrectionists across the nation, but also to continue rapidly deporting illegal aliens?
Yeah, it's suspending who?
Habeas corpus, sir.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather leave that to Christy. What do you think?
No, sir, I haven't been a part of any discussions on that.
All right, go ahead.
In the ceasefire
This is CNN speaking, by the way. So,
are you
this is one of the worst reporters that you'll ever see. I don't even want to take a question. It's a waste of time. Go ahead.
Mr. President, how will you decide which workers get back pay and which workers do not?
Well, we're going to see. Most of them are going to get back pay, and we're going to try and make sure of that. But some of them are being hurt very badly by the Democrats, and they therefore won't qualify. Go ahead, please.
What will the administration do to foreign Antifa organizers and funders who are located overseas?
Go ahead, in the yellow, please.
So
So the Nobel Peace Prize will be announced on Friday. You've been nominated by many
Many countries, that's
many
right.
countries as well as the hostage families. Do you think you will win?
I have no idea. I mean, look, I did settle, Marco would tell you, we settled 7 wars. We're close to settling an 8th, and I think we'll end up settling the Russia situation, which is horrible. 7,000 people died last week, by the way, in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine. I think we'll settle that. So I don't think anybody in history settled that many, but perhaps they'll find a reason not to give it to me, you know? Perhaps. So, thank you.
Going to the shutdown quickly, what is your position on the extension of healthcare subsidies, which is what Democrats are asking for?
All I want to do is very simple. I want to get the country open, and then we're going to discuss that. And we'd like to, Obamacare is a horrible mess, and it has been from the beginning. We want to make it better, stronger, even if it costs more money, we want to make it better. The Democrats want to make it worse. The Democrats want to approve health care for illegals coming into our country, many of them coming in from prisons and mental institutions and drug dealers. They want to give them health care. We don't want that for our people because that's going to destroy the health care that we already have. We'd like to make Obamacare better for people, less expensive and better health care. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President.
I'm wondering if you've been briefed on the organization and funding of Antifa, and if so, what have you learned?
I have been, and they have pretty good knowledge, but they're going to have a very good knowledge. And I really ask these very brave patriots that we're surrounded with today to let us know, because I think you probably have some pretty good ideas. And even if you're not sure, let us know and we'll figure it out, okay? If you could do that. You're from Italy?
No, I'm from France. Can you specify how close we are to the deal? Would that be announced today, tomorrow? And do you want to see the hostages released before you travel to the region?
No, I think I'll probably go maybe before the hostages are released or shortly thereafter, pretty much shortly thereafter. Yeah, please.
Participating in the negotiation.
Go ahead. Who you with? Who you with?
The Center Square. I had the honor of asking you originally if you would designate Antifa a terror organization. And I stand here before you today, and I'm echoing what Andy said over here. Are you going to work with your administration, as the Secretary of State's here, are you going to work with your administration to designate it a foreign terror organization?
You mean a terror?
Antifa? A foreign terror organization.
Well, has that been done? Pretty close, right? Would you like to see it done?
Yes, Mr. President.
Do you think it would help?
They have foreign links
I'd be glad
all
to
across
do it.
Western
I think it's
Europe.
the kind of thing I'd like to do. If you'd like to, does
Middle
everybody
East.
agree? If you agree, I agree. Let's get it done, okay? Let's get it done. Marco, we'll take care of it.
Mr. President.
That's international, you mean?
Yes.
International.
Yes, President.
Sounds good to me.
Foreign terror organization.
Steve, are you okay with it?
Yes, it's true. There are extensive foreign ties, and I think that would be a very valid step to take.
Good, I think so too.
Yes.
Good, I think it's a good point. Thank you.
President, are you planning on formally participating in this?
On the shutdown, we are now about 1 week away from military service members missing their paychecks.
We'll always take care of our military.
Would you encourage Congress to pass a standalone bill to pay our service members?
Yeah, that probably will happen. We don't have to worry about it yet. That's a long time. You know what 1 week is for me? An eternity. 1 week for me is a long time. We'll take care of it. Our military is always going to be taken care of. Yeah, please. Blue dress. Blue.
President, Rebecca with Blaze News. I'm curious to know, so you're talking about the money funding these Antifa organizations, and somebody brought up Roy Singham, I think it was you, who, by the way, is married to one of the co-founders of Code Pink, this infamous left-wing organization. I'm curious to know the administration.
Who is that? Who is that?
Roy Singham. He's married to.
No, did you say they're here?
No, he's not. A journalist brought him up, but.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jameis, thank you.
Good bring up.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
He's somebody who's been reported on extensively, and I'd love to know what the administration is going to do to actually bring consequences to some of these names. You mentioned.
Well, I don't know the name, but I would like to ask Pam to take a look at it. You know, a lot of the best information we find are through you and other people like you, so I'd like you to look at it, Pam. In the back, please.
Proof that
Antifa did infiltrate on January 6th, dressed up like Trump supporters and incited violence. Is that something that you would want the new J6 committee at Congress to look into?
Well, I've heard that. They dress up like, they're fresh out of MAGA, but they have nothing to do with MAGA. And they make trouble and they try and blame it. And yeah, we know some of that and we will be acting on some of that. We've seen it. So I think you could stay a little longer, but the problem is, although you have some very honest journalists in here, you also have some largely dishonest journalists like MSDNC and CNN. I think they're very dishonest, unbelievably, like a waste of time even talking to them. But I have to go now to try and solve some problems in the Middle East, although I'm very well represented by our Secretary of State. He could probably do an even better job than me. But who knows? We don't want to take any chances, so we're going to go and do that. If you'd like, Pam, would you like to stay for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes while we have all these great people? And I'll let Pam and Christy take over and get some good points out. I just want to thank the people around the table in particular. You've been amazing. You've been brave. You're real patriots. You're real patriots. And at some point, we're going to have to look into, at least in certain cases, rewarding you with some very important medals and honors, okay, as we have done and will be doing with Charlie Kirk. Charlie is getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is our highest award outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And I think they're sort of even. One's civilian and one's military. But unfortunately, the civilian sometimes is military also because of what we have to go through on the streets of this country. I can only tell you this: we have a great nation.
Keystone,
we have a nation
baby.
that's right now the hottest in the entire
Keystone
world. We're
right
the hottest
there.
nation in the world, despite all of the things we've been saying today. But that's going to make your job easier because nobody's doing better than we are financially. We've never done better. We've had, I think, 58 stock market increases since I've been top, meaning record increases. We have never seen anything like it, and we're going to keep it going. That makes it a little bit easier for what we're doing. I guess maybe it also makes some people crazy because they don't want to see us do well. But we're the hottest nation anywhere in the world, and we were a dead nation 1 year ago. I say it all the time. We were a dead nation. Now we're the hottest nation in the world, and that's said to by every leader. One of the reasons that we have every country already signed up or just about to sign, every country in the world on this whole mess we have going over with Hamas and the Middle East and all of the things you see, is they respect our nation. A year ago, you wouldn't have been able to get it. You certainly couldn't have gotten it with Biden. You didn't know where the hell he was. But a year ago, you wouldn't have been able to have a situation like this. So I just want to thank the people around this table, and certainly the officials around the table, because they've been incredible. They've been brave. And I watched yesterday, Pam, and I watched a little bit. I thought it was so good. I rounded up and I watched it late in the evening because I thought you were fantastic yesterday. You really, look, you had some wonderful senators, some great politicians asking you very fair questions, and you had some real slime balls. But I thought you were amazing, so thank you very much. And Christy, thanks for the great job. Cash, thanks for the great job. Always my man back down there. He's the silent type, but he's a hell of a lawyer. Thank you all. We're going to get peace in the Middle East. That's what we want to do. Thank you very much, everybody.
What specifically makes you so hopeful, Mr. President?
All right. We're back.
Wow. Civilian journalists right there. What a transparent government that is. Look at the boss listening to all of their concerns, all of their questions, all of their sauce. That's what I took away from this. He says, "Oh yeah, that sounds good. Give that to Pam. Give that to Cash. Give that." You know what I mean? It's like we are the news now. Like he's actually showcasing the citizen journalists out there that are busting their balls, getting beat up by our enemy, right? And of course, I loved how he attacked the mainstream media. Oh, that was so cool. The way he went after MSNBC and CNN and stuff. What did you guys get from that?
Yeah, POTUS got the paddle out, didn't he?
He got the paddle out. A little bit of spanking there for sure.
he was like, you know, like, who do you think is the worst? And the guy didn't really want to. He's like, well, I don't, you know, I'm not sure if I want to say, you know, that's just not, or, you know, do I have to think? And then he brought it out, and he's like, well, I think these are the worst. And, you know, he's been affected too. POTUS has from the fake news media tremendously, right? They've gone after every facet of his life. So thank you, POTUS, for featuring the independent warriors out there that are on that battlefield. And like Andy, I watched a lot of his videos, and I think that I saw part of his beating, and I couldn't watch it all. It was so horrific. And so I can't imagine, you know, like wanting, like, for the truth, like we speak up for the truth too, right? But we don't feel like our lives are in danger because we're sitting in our homes. But they get out and on their boots on the ground kind of journalism, independent journalism that really has been like ignored by the mainstream media, right? For 15 years, they said. Can you imagine that? And then at the end, what I thought was really interesting is they talked about how this has been funded by, it sounds like NGOs of some sort. And we just saw yesterday how there was NGOs that were funding used for the homeless. Oh, that's what they said. They said that it was basically they were using the homeless and getting funding through the homeless in this conference, right? And yesterday, I think I dropped it down in Diggers. We had an article that we pulled up where it said that they were giving $1 million. There it is, right there.
From being the 4th largest economy in the world.
How would you deal with homeless? You got these encampments. We're driving around here downtown LA.
Yeah.
It had such a renaissance for a short period of time. It feels like it's devolved again.
It has.
And it just seems to me that there just should be zero tolerance for camping on the street. Yet here we are again with encampments everywhere. What would be your approach?
Well, my approach was simple when I ran is you can't allow encampments on the street, but you've got to give people who are on the streets an opportunity to have a productive life. So give them the services they need, build the housing that they need. We are spending in the city of Los Angeles $900,000 per person that they're removing from the streets. $900,000
per year?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's billions and billions of dollars wasted. Redirect that to organizations that have incredible track records of being successful in Los Angeles, of housing people, giving them the services for mental health and drug addiction. And the first thing you do is you do not allow the sale of drugs on the street. Right now we do. I mean, that's a crime. It's illegal. Don't allow it.
It is a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at fentanyl, it is just a different category of drug. We've seen the president, who you don't agree with everything on, but he's taking a pretty hardline stance to the point at which he's activating the military. Pretty controversial. What's your take on that?
I think we should actually have secure borders and shut down the drugs. 100%.
Section 4, protect your borders. Protect those borders. Yep.
Wow, that's something, isn't it? To think that they were taking that money and then, you know, what are they doing with it? Instead of, I mean, I see homeless people, so I don't think they're using it for homeless. They could have bought each of those people a house and set them up with, you know, or an apartment. They could have done something. And so I think it raises real question. And I heard President Trump also talk about treason, the word he said, treasonous. And so I think big things are coming. In fact, the White House just dropped, I put it also in Diggers if you want to look, they just dropped this little video and it includes some of the mayors that we are talking about, the Barney one.
Chicago's a mess. We have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. We have a governor that refuses to admit he has problems. Everybody knows how bad it is. This open borders nightmare flooded our country with fentanyl.
Fred and Barney, we
people
call them.
that shouldn't be here. Some of the worst people on earth. And illicit drugs decimated American communities and left us with the largest law enforcement challenge in our country's history.
President saying they have had enough.
We need to invite President Trump in. We invite the National Guard in. You know, we've had 254 deaths in 233 days. And for anyone in our community to say people are safe, that is an outright lie.
They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. We don't want to lose Chicago. We're going to lose Chicago. We want to save these places. We're going to lose them. We're not going to allow this kind of savagery to destroy our society anymore. We're stopping it, doing one by one.
Yep.
Boom, boom. Yeah, nice, Melzie. Good dig on that one. That's right from the White House, right? Perfect.
Right from the White House. It just dropped. So that was thanks to Vince Bardner.
Brother Vince.
Yeah, Brother Vince.
Brother Vince,
He's
yeah.
up in Moabs out there. So thank you, Brother Vince.
Yeah, keep digging, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Well, Kyle, we're winding down here. I'm looking at the time. We've been we're going on almost 3 hours. There's only 2 Q drops I'd like to bring to your attention today. One is today's one of the 16 deltas. So if you want to bring up your Intel board, Q drop 2437. There's one Q drop, Justice Coming. That's our title today. Pretty amazing how this lines up to one of our deltas today, which is Q drop 4835. So if you want to bring those up side by side, brother, 2437 and
Hold that number just for a second. Jedi brought this one up, I think, just by what we were talking about during the exchange that Trump had with the press there. This is a really big one that kind of draws out who we're up against. And I believe this is a 17, is it not? 1 + 8 + 7 + 1 is a 17. Example 1.1, Mossad, alternate plus U.S. media and U.S. politicians owned by Mossad here, and then all their little affiliates underneath here, all your blue check mark clowns, plus. Those who scream the loudest find the connections 1 to 1 to 1, primary to affiliate A, affiliate B, affiliate C, marching to the same beat. Okay, this is how you see those coordinated efforts to attack, and they'll use the same language around the same time too. That's where, again, it kind of helps if you've been paying attention to other previous people that basically proven themselves shills. Keep an eye on them. Then you'll see new people all of a sudden saying the same exact thing at the same time, marching to the same beat. So coincidence, logical thinking Q. So that's a great drop. Thank you, Jedi Knickknack, for bringing that to attention. Q drop 1871. Again, that all adds up to a 17. And you got a double 46 in there also too. 2 46s and double 18s, the double R's, the twins, if you know about that. And then I want to go back one more too to the timestamp. It was 1032. And if you took the mirror of that, the one that Dan Screener we tried to do earlier, where a little didn't seem to kind of make sense. But if you look at it this way, look at this. Some people had some great drops on this. So it was at 1032. We showed some of the 32 timestamps. But look at this, how it actually connects to Red October when you take the mirror. So 1032, the mirror of that is 2301, and we just did this Q drop a few days back. Red October, stay tuned and watch Q+. So Red October connects to submarines and Navy. And then right here, think Navy ship crashes. Bigger than you know, we are active, Q. And also you guys saw some of those dinners that the military was getting, the steak and lobster, basically what's given to them when they're going on a big operation as well, too. So that seems to
my gosh. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really timely, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just wanted to add that, help connect the dots a little bit that we kind of missed a little bit the first time. I saw on some people were doing some stuff on, actually right on Dan Scavino's post on X. You scroll down, some people had some great graphics and memes. I don't want to go back there now and get lost, but I'm just going to go to the drops that Tim has for us now.
Yeah, as we wind down, they're very fitting to what our whole discussion today, and then watching the boss with those beautiful patriots in the room. And of course the fake news behind them screaming like the vultures that they are, man. They're so disgusting. And I think people, like we said earlier in the show, they're up to here. They're up to here now with it. We're finished with them. But yeah, I wanted to bring this to your attention because today's title was Justice Coming, and it is. And you're going to see how this one connects to, and it's only one Q drop with Justice Coming, not Justice is Coming, just simply what our title says, Justice Coming. So go ahead and read that one, Kyle, and then we'll match it up with one of today's deltas. It's pretty fascinating, actually.
Okay. So we got a Q drop 2437, 11/6. That's a 17. November 6th is a 17 right there. 2018. From 8chan, Patriots Fight as the subboard, post number 417 over there, timestamp 12/16/59. 59's my birthday right there, 5th day, 9th month. We are Q. Tim was talking about this last night on the radio. He said there's multiple of these images shared in the Q drops. It says we are Q. That's Donald Trump during the inauguration 2016 when he said we're not transferring power from one administration to another, but giving it back to you, the people. So really big moment in all of our lives, even if we didn't understand it at the time. The image file name there, where we go one, we go all. This is straight from Q, as Q is uploading that image. This isn't an anon. So then they labeled it where we go one, we go all. That's the JPEG name. And Q, then the Q drop says they want one thing and only one thing, power. They will lie, cheat, and promise you the world to obtain it. How about that? That's why Trump his campaign was promises made, promises kept. Basically unheard of from politicians. They'll say all this rah-rah shit, and then when push comes to shove, they do nothing, especially for their minority communities. Basically nothing for American citizens because they're criminals, they're corrupt, they're infiltrators, they're invaders, and they're selling out the country to our country to other countries, other foreign dignitaries and administrations, and of course, giving illegal immigrants all the wealth that you have accumulated and worked so hard for in this country, which is truly devastating to even imagine that that's a real thing. But here we are to expose it, and it has to be the first step to changing something is the awareness of it. So once we're aware of something, then we can finally change it. So we're not going to take it anymore. We're done with this shit. All right. So they will lie, cheat, and promise you the world to obtain their power. That's the only thing they care about. They do not love our country. They never do. They seem to be anti-American, especially if Trump's the president. They don't want America to be good at anything. They don't want America to succeed because then it shows their bullshit policies don't work. And it shows that Trump is right. And he's doing good for the country. They have become literally the party of anti-Americans. They've been the party that supports illegal immigration. They support crime. They support stolen elections. It's just
Antifa. Is that possibly Antifa we're talking about, who is soon to be classified as an international terrorist organization, I might add, after that conversation with those beautiful patriots? That's huge.
Foreign and domestic. They do not love our country. They despise it because they're these part of the cabal, the deep state, which doesn't want America, which is true vested freedom. They want it to be under communist control, which is then total control of all your assets. Your government owns everything that you do. They despise it. They want to destroy it. This is America. Show your love of country by voting today. Okay, we got special elections coming up here this November even, I believe. And then, of course, 2026 is going to be a big one. Return power to the people. Return old glory.
Weren't we talking about that at the beginning of the show? Just saying.
Yep. Return old glory to her former state. We honor those who fought and continue to fight to save and defend this great country. We will do our part. Will you do yours? That's the military talking directly to you all out there.
Yep.
Vote.
They're going to do the heavy lifting.
Vote. Justice coming. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. There's our title today. And again, we'll do that. We'll do our part, which is the heavy lifting that we talked about. Dave X22 report was talking about, and of course, you've got the vote in there. Pay attention, get involved, because they are cleaning the slate. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. I didn't realize it until near the end of our show when I finally went to the Q alerts to see how many Q drops, and there was only one, Melzie, from that title. Yeah. And then if you add Justice is Coming, there is only one Q drop. And that one basically is from September 14th. It says, hold the line, riders. Justice is coming. Okay. Now, the other Q drop, Kyle, is the other Q drop before we head out the back door, just like KOMY did earlier today at his arraignment, is Q drop 4835. It's one of the 16 deltas today, and you'll see how it lines up with that beautiful Q drop that Kyle just read for us. So check this out, guys. Speaking of justice.
Number one more time.
4835.
4835.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bring it on the screen.
Yeah. One of the images we used for a long time on Qschqql, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah? Okay, so Q drop 4835. We got an anon. This is on today's Delta, like Tim said. Today is October 8th now, which is an 18, also 18, 2020, 2057, 27 on the timestamp. We need justice. This is Anon says this. Anon says, we need justice. We are ready. Let's go. Where we go one, we go all. 3 minutes, 48 seconds later, Q responds, or 228 seconds later. POTUS is listening, 228, simple gematria. Q drop 48:35, 21:01:15. And this was actually when Q map went down. This was the image that was up there for the rest of the time. For a while, it was, why does it do that? How does it even do that? Is this right here, this beautiful image. In it together, where we go one, we go all. Beautiful. It's one of my favorite images, especially for like a cover photo. That's a really good one. And then, go ahead. Oh, that's it? Then that's it.
That's it. But I wanted you to put them side by side on the screen if you don't mind. So add the other one to it if you can, 24:37, and see how they connect. The wording connects in these two drops.
Okay.
With the where we go one, we go all. Are you ready to serve? Are you like what was the other one? The justice, right? The justice part. You'll see the connections.
You said 44:37, or did you mean 23:47?
24:37. 24. 24:37.
7, 48:35. Okay. So here we go. We'll look at them both like this. So there it is.
What's you say about the side by side too? Remember that Q drop? Yeah, side by side. How the hell does that one go, Kyle? Remember that one?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure how that goes. That post.
So on the right, we need justice. We are ready. Let's go. Where we go one, we go all. Where do you see the words of that statement from the Anon in the We Are Q?
We are Q, and then it's the image name. Where we go one, we go all. And then down here, in it together, where we go one, we go out. Look, it's almost the same length, the same like height, right, of where that's at with this. And then this one has a long stringer for the image name here. And then basically in it together, where we go one, we go all. I think that just means I'm going to read this one more time. They want one thing and only one thing, power. They will lie, cheat, and promise you the world to obtain it. They do not love our country. They despise it. They want to destroy it. Show your love of country by voting today. Return power to the people. Return old glory to her former state. We honor those who fought and continue to fight to save and defend this great country. We will do our part. Will you do yours? Vote, vote, vote. Justice coming, Q. And then back to what the Anon said at the very top there. We need justice. We are ready. Let's go.
Will you do your part? We are ready. Let's go. Yeah. Do you see how they intertwine? They connect. Yep. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, you guys. And wow, what a show, guys. I'm pretty much done. I got to get Matthew's supper ready, but thanks for hanging with us. I know we're probably I'm feeling a little tired after, it's been pretty crazy last couple of days. Last night was late, but I'm glad that we got to see Boss talking with regular patriot citizen journalists that are risking, a lot to go on the streets and to get the sauce and to get the videos, to get the evidence of this real thing called Antifa, which is insurrection, insurgency, and enemy combatants, I might add too, because this, they're domestic terrorists, now soon to be international or foreign terrorist organizations declared by the United States of America, which is definitely going to help the entire, not only the military, but the Trump administration and the powers of the president to take them all down, wipe them all out, get rid of them once and for all. So that's what's coming our way. Justice is coming, folks. I just want to reiterate that. So thanks for a wonderful time with you guys today. Get some rest tonight. I'll probably chill out tonight. Might jump in a couple of Telegram channels. But going forward, just so you guys know, on Telegram, Qschqql channel will now be converted to Qschqql TV 24/7, or the best I can. I mean, if I fall asleep and the video runs out and the next one doesn't start, you'll have to wait for me to get up the next morning to get a new documentary or video in there, but I'll do my best. We used to have a nighttime partner, Brother Scott, who's healing, and God bless you, Scott, if you're listening. We're still praying for you, brother, for healing. We had a nighttime manager. He did an amazing job. But if anybody's interested in working a night shift over on Qschqql on Telegram and just basically playing various documentaries and news videos and things like that, Q related mostly, by all means, reach out to us here on Qschqql, and we'll get you on board to help us out. So that's all I have for today. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. Looking forward to more breaking news and banging out some more Q drops. And helping change the world. Melzie, back to you. See you, Kyle. Love, love, love.
Okay, brother.
Bye, Tim. Have a great day. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining us. We had, like an amazing time watching POTUS just smack it down. It was amazing. And I really think that justice will be coming. And, he's just prepping the way for it, I think, to show us what was going on and showing, giving the spotlight to the independent journalists was amazing. So buckle up, buttercups. I would say get your popcorn ready. It's on discount over at Wally World if you need to get some, and you can't pop your own. That's what I'd say. Back to you.
All right. I was kind of looking for a video to close out here at the end.
Oh, I got a really funny one, a little funny one, maybe.
Okay.
And, well, unless you want to do a Scotty Marr one.
No, that's all right. I feel like we got something.
This is kind of a little funny, little humor, and it'll probably go along with what we got going on here, but it's short.
Where you got to put it in diggers?
Diggers, yeah.
How long is this one? We'll just end on this. Maybe we'll keep it under 3 hours if we're lucky. All right, here we go. Love you guys. We're closing it out. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, is this just a screenshot? Or is
No, you got to go to the link.
Okay. We got to take me over to Facebook again.
I always take a screenshot so people can see what it is, because some people just drop the link,
I got you. Okay. Oh. Oh, was I not sharing the screen? Dang it. It clicked the wrong tab.
No.
Oh my gosh. What a blunder. Okay. Here, I got it back up. I just got to click this one. There we go.
Great. I'm not afraid. I am not afraid. And I won't back down. I'm not afraid.
Thanks for that, Melzie. Appreciate it. All right, let's get that con out of here. Let's just close it out. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm done with it. I love you guys. Just kidding. We'll be back. Yeah. All right. You're muted, Mel, but we failed. All right, I'm closing. I'm hitting the thing here. Love you guys. Man, my computer's whacked too. It's all slow, I think. Here we go. Yeah. Qschqql once again. Now that I did it on October 8th, 2017, 2025, whatever year it is. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Check out a recording we did on the radio last night if you